What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka UniqueMazique, the hardest working man in sports and gaming, and this is the 21st episode of At Me, Bro. 3 touchdowns, 3 extra points. You see what I'm saying? You feel me? How you feel today?
I'm feeling fantastic, man. It's been a fun week, a lot of work. Fun basketball week as well. Ready
Did
to get
you play?
into it? No, I'm just watching.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
retired. I'm retired, man. I'm protecting my ankles and knees.
You
man.
retired?
Yeah.
Man, I just went out. Me and Junior went out last week?
Yeah.
Man, I'm trying to tell you, man, they can't hold me, man. They can't hold me. They can't hold me, man. They can't hold me. Junior was like, I didn't think you were going to shoot the ball that well. It's been 5 months. I said, you don't understand who I am, do you, boy?
You know, it's funny. I went to the basketball court the other day, just taking a walk. I wasn't playing. And I was watching them, and the people in my neighborhood are so trash.
Yeah.
If I would be like, I'd be out there like LeBron if I played right now.
You'd be out there like, I was out there like somebody.
Against this competition. It's not. Yeah. It wouldn't be me. It'd be more about them. And I got tempted. I admit it. I was tempted. But no. And especially having lost all the weight, you feel real good. You feel like but it's not
yeah, it's not gonna happen.
No.
I got to get to that place where I can just look at the basketball court and go, nah, no, thank you. I'm not at that place. When I still see the ball bounce, I still feel like I'm supposed to get it.
I feel you. It was hard. It was hard for me to quit, but I had my legs were totally healthy,
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of older ball players, especially street ball, playing out in the park, which is the thing out here in New York, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And they, their ankles, knees, Achilles all tore up, tendonitis all over the place, and I felt I got really lucky. My legs are basically 100% healthy, and I struggled with plantar fasciitis in my 20s. It was always like coming and going with my feet, my heels, always just a little sore, even after I got over it. And when I woke up one day and my legs felt good, I said, I'm checking out.
Yeah, well, I wake up every day and it takes me about 25, 35 minutes before my feet feel like actual feet. So it is what it is, baby. I stick. You gotta get what you think you want this, but you don't, boy.
I remember that feeling, man. And I, like you said, waking up, it was hard, but now I have the feet of a spoiled rich child, and I want to hold on to that.
I got the feet of a big fat platypus, but I'm still going out there. I'm gonna do it. But yeah, I appreciate everybody walking out here, coming out and checking us out. Didn't nobody walk, unless I don't know if you walked over to your phone or whatever. You know what I mean. But I had a pretty good time shooting the lights out there with Junior and a couple of other 18-year-olds that thought they wanted it, but found out real quickly that they did not want what this man was giving out.
Has the quality of play slipped in the streets?
Why would you say that after I said I was playing well? Like that
you mentioned 18-year-olds, and when I came up, especially in New York, because I traveled around the country and the quality wasn't quite as high. Not as ubiquitously. Like when I came up in New York, it was so many courts you could go to, and somebody was there who was just ridiculous. Maybe more than one somebody.
Here's the thing. I was one of them people that was ridiculous. That's what you don't understand.
No, I ain't saying it ain't all over the place.
So I can get buckets, is what I'm trying to tell you. I get buckets, baby.
And you know what? To your credit, Chicago people, y'all can shoot, man.
Oh, we can ball.
Y'all can shoot. Y'all can definitely shoot.
We can ball. Yeah, y'all dribble a lot. Nobody might not be able to put a bucket and get a bucket, but y'all gonna dribble.
Not getting a bucket is going far, but we did pioneer a lot of the handling. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's jump shot challenged.
That's not true. Maybe today is true. I was looking out in them streets. I'm like, these people are very bad at the game.
Yeah, jump shot challenge.
I was surprised. I was very surprised.
I don't pay no attention to what other people do. I come out there to do what I'm gonna do. And I'm just trying to tell you that what the combination of of the size and the jump shot and understanding how to use your body, man, they can't hold your boy. They can't hold your boy. I mean, every once in a while I see somebody and I'm like, okay, yeah, this dude, I can't do nothing with him. It's one little fella I play with. He about 19 years old. His name is Q. He like 5'11", but he dunks on people in like N32s. N32, bam, just out of nowhere, right? So yeah, he's but most of the time they get these hands.
Yeah,
they get these hands. But anyway, we didn't come here to talk about me. We didn't come here to talk about you.
Hey, we came here to talk about ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we did, and we started off talking about some street ball. We generally don't have a street ball concept, so I guess I just created another segment that was not planned, a street ball concept. But we do that. We're the segment creators out here. But yeah, let's talk about the NBA 2K League.
Yes, debut week.
Yes, for the second season. And it's actually still going on. Day 3 of the tip-off is still happening, unless it just ended. There's some things I like. There's some things I still don't like. I'm just happy to see. I'm happy to. There's something about seeing the league that just makes me smile, just in its essence, just the fact that it exists.
Yeah.
So that is the predominant positive for me. So I kind of lean on that more so than I lean on or look at some of the things that may not be exactly what I think they should be. But yeah, it's a couple things that I think are still down. I like this last game I just got through checking in on, the Pistons GT against Warriors Gaming. Pistons GT got a humongous advertisement on their court and advertisement on the scores table for Hungry Howie's Pizza.
That's awesome.
So I love because it's so dope, because that was my concept early on when I first started talking about how they could do this. And I'm like, man, you can start putting advertisements on the jerseys. You can put that all over the court, because it's what Pro-Am allows you to do. And so I think that was dope. Even though the logo was pretty big and kind of obnoxious, it was still dope.
Yeah. You know what advertisers like? Viewers. And you know what 2K League doesn't have?
Yeah.
They debuted with 12,000 just about, which ain't great.
Right.
And quickly hemorrhaged a clean 4,000 or 5,000 viewers. And today they fell below 7K, which is like almost as pretty much as bad as it gets for a mainstream game on Twitch.
Yeah. There's a lot that has to happen, man. And it didn't help that I don't think Chiquita played at all today. So
I think that's honestly, there's not a single player in the 2K League that would move the needle.
Well, I think
Shakedown and Chris move to move the needle.
Yeah, I think Chiquita would move the needle for a second, for just like that day, and maybe not even the entire day. Yeah. But if they put out that the first woman NBA 2K League player is making her debut, I think that would spike them up some. But I don't think a lot of those people would even stay for the whole game.
See, and that's the key. Because when I say move the needle, I think there are people who watch Shakedown, Chris Move, Agent, Cash Nasty, that would stay if the 2K League was a quality product, if their guys were in there, right?
Yep.
But I don't think the first woman playing a game crowd is the kind of crowd that's going to sit there and be like, talking about how Dimes played last game. About, you know what I mean? Fab versus Dimes, who's the better player? They're not going to really have that conversation.
No.
They're not going to be around for that. So, yeah, they need to they have to do something about the viewership. I think it's partially on 2K because the game is not a super strong competitive game right now. Roughly every game looks the same.
Yep.
The pressure is insanely strong because there's no speed in the game. I'm watching point guards being guarded full court by centers. And these are the greatest point guards in the world, and they're being guarded by centers full court. So it's clearly not a skill issue. If these guys were in the park, they'd be tearing you up, one-on-one with their skills. on the sticks, so it's in the game. That's preventing them from cutting loose. It's in the archetypes.
Yep.
So yeah, they need a lot of work. They definitely need to go back to the drawing board. And funny enough, watching your streams, which I
You love
very much enjoy,
because it's high quality play. It's high quality. I mean, it's top of notch. I mean, it's 2K League worthy kind of
definitely
stuff.
not where I was going with that, especially after the last game I saw.
Why are you so horrible towards me?
What? No, I'm just going by the evidence. I give props when it's deserved.
I don't know
because I think you took 14 bad shots in a row when you lost that last game.
I don't even remember, so I can't.
How many you? Oh, you remember? I know it still stings in your heart because you're competitive.
No, I don't know.
You
which
remember
ones.
that L is still burning right under that PlayStation logo on your chest. There's an L. That's why it's shaped like an L to cover up the L that you are holding.
I don't even understand what you're saying. I don't recall these things that you're saying.
Well, the good thing is it's on the internet. I encourage everybody to go to Mazique's channel, watch the video he just put up. Horrible game. Y'all go watch it immediately after this show. I assure you it is quality content, but I cannot defend the level of basketball played by at least one of the people playing that game.
Well, I can't remember what happened in that game. I can't recall what happened in that game. I'm trying to remember what happened.
You took a lot of contested shots, and he got a lot of open threes with Melo. That part happened.
Okay. Oh, and didn't I have the game at some point? I can't remember.
I don't know. I think he led wire to wire.
No. Okay. See, there
he went on a 13-0 run in the fourth quarter.
He did. Okay.
Which generally is not good.
But boy, I'm trying to tell you, this is. I'm just trying to make sure that you. I mean. You like Conor McGregor, man. You just out of control with this stuff you say.
I'm like Khabib. I report the facts, man.
You say all kinds of stuff,
Like Chael Sonnen. I tell the truth about the industry.
My God, no, honestly, I do. I take too many bad shots, man. I really do. I take too many bad shots. You know what? My problem is I don't take enough my team shots because there's some shots that are open that they're really not open shots, really in real life, but they're open for my team. And then, I don't utilize the limitless range badge because
I was gonna say because that fadeaway 3-pointer with Clyde Drexler, you might want to leave that alone.
What happened to it? Was I down on the shot clock? Was it late in the shot clock?
I mean, you took it.
It was late in the shot clock.
Why was it late?
Because the seconds was running down. What do you mean? Why was it late?
Because for the other 20 seconds, the offense wasn't running clean.
Well, okay. Now here's my issue. Here's my issue. The problem is I actually got the wrong playbook.
Oh, okay.
I got the wrong playbook, and so the playbook the playbook that I picked when I picked that, I hardly had any actual talent.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned that in the stream that you were playing like you still had some lower level players.
Crap guys.
Yeah.
But that's not the whole thing. I make a lot of mistakes. I do some stuff. That's really the biggest thing. I throw some passes I shouldn't throw. I press up trying to get that steal on the inbounds pass, and it ultimately breaks my whole defense down. And 2-3 passes, and you got a wide open shot on the wing. And that's a my team thing. Like you can kind of get away with that a little bit more and play now online, but in my team you cannot.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then I get caught with high screen and roll a lot. And the high screen and roll on my team begins like at half court, which is imbalanced. But it does, because high screen and roll on it that's half court screen and roll. No, that just doesn't happen. So
it does have some teams do that. In fact,
at half.
Yeah, because the Nets, when they try to pressure D'Angelo Russell, they start their screens very high. Sometimes Steph will start a screen high. James Harden starts a screen high. And if you think about it, because of the talent level in my team, they would start the screen high because of all of the limitless range badges.
All the limitless range, right? Which what I'm saying, that's my problem.
But that's like if you were playing with a bunch of James Hardens and Steph Currys, it would also look and even D'Angelo Russell, he has very long range. It would look more imbalanced if you were playing with if everybody had that shooting talent, and that's what my team is.
That's what it is. I think that's my problem. I don't necessarily adjust to the crazy amount of talent that's out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but and you know the real reason I brought up your My Team streams
because
is
they're
because
fantastic. I know, but okay.
that is no, that's true. That's part of it. I'm watching the 2K League, and as a fan of as a fan of the game,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is like one of my least favorite versions to watch. And I watched your stream immediately after watching the 2K game, and I'm like, this is flat out more entertaining.
Well, I
Flat
appreciate
out
that.
more entertaining.
Now, if I can
And
get 7,000 people to watch my stream at one time, I will. I'll go topless.
don't do that. But that's not the message we were trying to deliver. I don't think you picking up what we putting down. What I'm saying is 2K, and this is a serious comment. 2K has a very big game, and somebody decided that a lower attribute level pro am was what the league was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying to stop doing that. The NBA's in on that. It's basically a vanity project at this point in terms of what it's producing. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to invest into it, like the WNBA. They're going to invest into it because they think over the long haul it's worth it. That's great. But 2K needs to invest in its other game modes on an esport level. I would
Mm-hmm.
much rather be watching head to head my team,
Me
and
too.
which they do have a tournament, which is great. Head
Yep.
to head triple threat online
Yep.
and head to head park than what I'm watching right now.
Yeah.
And,
I would.
and for the record, competitive pro am is more entertaining than what I'm seeing in the product right now.
It
Slay
is.
Island streams are more entertaining than this.
Yes, it is. And I think play now, competitive play now online is better than this.
I haven't seen a whole lot of competitive play now online, but I would like to see more. I don't know if you know of any streamers that do that. Let the people know. Tweet it out, and I would definitely like to check that out.
Short dog that he does that. Um, I'm trying. There's a couple other ones, but I'm pretty sure Short Dog does that. Did I lose you?
No, I'm right here.
Oh, okay. You went quiet. Like,
No, I was reading the chat. I was appreciating the chat. The chat's over my shoulder right now.
oh, what did
We
they say?
have we got you shouldn't be using her as a gimmick. Talking about Chiquita.
Yes.
I agree with that. And there isn't any individuality in the 2K league. I
No, there
totally
isn't.
agree.
And
And the thing is,
I've been saying that. I've been saying the
yeah,
same thing.
and it's not the players. We know they have the talent. They're doing the
No.
best that they can with a
Yep.
very nerfed build. It's like they got a bunch of 78 rated overall players out there, and it
Yep.
sucks.
Yep.
Sucks to death.
Yep, it does. I actually think it's worse this year than it was last year from a gameplay standpoint.
It is, and I'm surprised by that. But you know what it is? They buffed the defense without buffing the offense, and I have for the past 3 years telling them that they need to buff both at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. At some point, I think the NBA is probably going to have to step in and if they haven't already, and come to 2K and say, okay, what is it that you guys need to make this more exciting?
2K has to come up with those answers because they know the game. That's the problem.
Well, I'm what I'm saying is NBA comes to 2K and says,
Yeah.
what is it that you guys need?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is if you're at 2K right now,
Mm-hmm.
and full disclosure, I've spoken to a bunch of guys who work at the company, Zara amongst others. If you guys can't see that product and tell that it's not exciting, there needs to be some serious soul searching because you guys know the game. Y'all see all the game modes. You guys see everything we talked about. You guys see Park. You guys see Play Now Online. Even the game currently as constructed with no improvements, you know that the other game modes are more exciting and show more individuality. And I realize you don't want a cheese fest. You don't want exploits. You don't want guys doing, stupid dribble moves for possession after possession. I get that, but it is too far the other way right now.
Yeah.
And it is more fun to watch your, average high-level YouTuber play in the park than it is to watch this.
Yeah.
And I was a guy who up until 2K18 wouldn't even touch the park.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, man. I found myself in every game I watched so far this year being somewhat bored.
Yeah.
And that's
and this is at a time when other esports events are putting on quite a show. So Overwatch League is great.
I have one particular thing and that I think is an issue. I put this on the commentary.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Dirk is a little too technical for the audience and for it, like, because and part of this is 2K, so I don't blame him completely, but part of it, because part of this is 2K. um you see, and because there is no individuality in the game, everybody does whatever, so you'll just see this awesome dunk that just took place, or somebody will throw a sick pass or whatever, but because everybody's build can kind of do the same types of things, he's like mid explanation and something awesome just happened that was like, oh, and he's go, well, because the because if you have a pure sharp, you'll be able to do this, you'll be able to do that. There's no reaction, fan like reaction to something awesome that just happened on the screen. He's in mid technical explanation, and a guy just did a 360 in between two guys.
Yeah, I agree with your criticism. But I'm going to give the commentary a break, and it's for two reasons. One, this is a pretty new thing, commentating NBA 2K games.
Right.
And I would say I would actually give the commentary an A for at what stage it is in the life of this esport. They're doing and this is not really similar to anything except real sports.
Right.
So, in terms of calling the game, right? So credit to them for being as good as they are. I agree with your criticism. And the other thing is, it's not an exciting product, as we all agreed here.
Right.
So there's not a lot of stuff to call. And I'm a fan of basically all fighting games, and I've seen them all commentated, great commentary and bad commentary. And I can tell you what, no matter how great the commentators are, they're worse when the game's not good.
Yeah,
the best commentators on the planet, people who can literally fill up a stream off their commentary talent, when the game's not good, they're not as good. And so they need a better product so that they can more quickly adapt to how to do proper commentary. Because one of the things the 2K League doesn't have that NBA games have is replays, right? Like their replay.
Which they should.
Right. They should have really impressive, pretty replays that highlight the best parts of the game. Clearly, that's what the real sports have. I mean, if Street Fighter has replays, it doesn't even have a record function in the game for an immediate record function like that, right? There's no replay function, so they need an editor in the back capturing these plays on a 2K rig to give you a replay with a more exciting camera as soon as there's any downtime, which happens reasonably often.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I don't know that I can give that a total pass, because when I'm watching this, and I understand, I get it that the game has some holes, right? And I don't put this as much on Scott as I would put it on Dirk. And I know Scott is the play-by-play guy, and he's the one who's supposed to show that emotion. I think he does do it a little bit more, and I think it actually benefits him in this way, that he's not as familiar with the game as Dirk. He doesn't know the ins and outs of an archetype the way that Dirk does. I think it benefits him, and it thus makes him a little bit more exciting to listen to, because he's reacting to what just happened and not breaking down what just happened. And I think that they're like I said, from day one of the tip off, right? They put up the 5 best plays, right? And they included the audio call from those plays. In 4 of the 5 plays, there was literally no reaction to the actual play.
Well, here's the thing, though, B. I'm not disagreeing with you that he needs to improve on that, but I'm grading them on, first of all, it's a young esport, extremely young,
right?
And I'm looking at the spectrum of commentary across all esports, and they're actually, honestly, probably the best thing about the league in terms of growth.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most promising start, is that the commentary is not atrocious, because it could be much, 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 much worse. And he does need to improve on that. But overall, the commentary is off to a good start. Everything else needs a lot of work, including player personalities. We have no sense of any personalities from any of these players so far. And that's one of the biggest parts of most esports. It's harder in team esports, but it still needs to be a part.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely think we, for the most part, we definitely agree on that. All right, let's jump out to the next thing. Went a little bit over time on that one, but I know that you had a mystery topic Nelson, he likes to keep a lot of secrets. I don't know. He might have some type of,
before we get to
serious criminal activity going on in the basement or something. I don't know.
Now, before we get to the mystery topic, I actually wanted to continue with the streams for a second.
Oh, no problem. No problem. No problem.
Because one of my favorite streams is Mazique streaming Road to the Show right now.
Oh, yes.
Slim Pepper Jack is created.
Oh, see, we were gonna get to that after we were gonna get to that.
I just want to. The people know there's a mystery topic.
Yes.
You don't know what it is.
Okay.
In storytelling, we call this tension and release.
Okay.
I'm extending the tension so we can talk about Slim Pepper Jack and what the show is like a week after you've had your hands on it.
See, you got to teach me about that kind of stuff. I don't know nothing about this tension and release stuff. I mean, I thought tension and release had to do with that's why you get married, so that you can have somebody to have a release with. I didn't know. It's okay. All righty. Well, no, okay, yes. My Slim Pepper Jack has been created. I told y'all I was gonna bring him, and he looks like his name.
He looks amazing. 6'10". What was he? 230.
230, 6'10", 230. Not an ounce of fat on him. You understand me?
And I think they weighed him when he had the cleats on.
Yeah, 1.1% body fat. So I hope you're ready. My man 19189. I ain't gonna give away. 1989 put out something in the chat. I ain't gonna give it away if you haven't watched it. But I had a friend of mine, man, that's been my friend since 4th grade, 3rd or 4th grade. Send me a text message and say Slim Pepper Jack, just out of the blue. I had no idea he was even watching anything I did. But
that's when you know it's hot.
He said, I want him on my team. I said, oh, my God. All right. Okay, great. But yes, Slim Pepper Jack, he's struggling. He struggled a little bit in the showcase game, but he'll be back.
I'm rooting for him. I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I think
he getting a little wood on ball. He just got
a little bit.
He reacting a little slow at the plate.
A little slow.
Now, I'm a little concerned about his fielding, though.
Well, he only missed one. He made one error, man.
The one was an error, but the other one was catchable.
What? Which one? Oh, they brought hit him in the face? That was tough, man. You know how the sun is out there?
He had the one against the wall.
Yes, them UV rays.
Yeah,
virtual UV rays.
You sound like excuse Pepper Jack.
No,
right now.
They get in your eye, man. And you get out there and you let them throw a ball at you in the middle of some kind of sunstorm like that. It was terrible out there.
So you and my boy Jay have been, singing the praises of this game. How is it a week after a weekend so far? Are you enjoying it as much? Are you enjoying it more? What's up?
It's great. It's awesome. Really great. Like I said, I wish that the franchise mode was deeper. I wish they did, a lot of what we see done in NBA 2K's My League and My GM. I wish Road to the Show had a little bit more personality. To be honest with you, they make me work real hard with Slim Pepper Jack.
Yeah.
in terms of adding some stuff to the game. So to the streams. Because you gotta make your own stories up because what they give you is kind of not really enough.
Yeah, nothing to react to. Yeah,
but I understand why they do that because Sony pays a lot of attention to what goes on with 2K and what goes on with Madden, and I think it shapes a little bit of what they do and they don't do. I think that's why they've been so resistant to a linear story that goes with their with Road to the Show.
And let me drop a little something. This is just as a storyteller. What they need to do, everybody needs to do this, whether you have a linear story or not.
Right.
You don't need to fill the game up with cutscenes to give us more story. All you have to do is take the things that you know are going to happen in a career and make them more fulfilling.
Right.
That's all. That's it. That's all you got to do. If you do that, the career mode is going to be more rewarding.
Yeah.
All of those little milestones. I'm not going to go over them for the sake of this topic. This ain't a give y'all a career mode for free show. Well, all of the milestones that you know for a fact are going to happen, you have to reinforce them in the game. In fact, older games were better about this when they put more emphasis on the newspaper articles and You know what I'm saying? All that, like, that's the stuff that we get that dopamine release. When you hit, you know what I'm saying? When you start turning into a prospect and the game tells you so and so is gossiping about whether you should be this spot or that spot, you like get motivated to keep playing the mode and raise your status up. You know what I'm
And
saying?
they
So
show
they
you
need to,
something. Now the show does do that better than 2K. So what the show does is when you get your first major league hit, they'll show, or you like your first AA hit or whatever, they have like a little presentation. It could be a little bit cooler, and I think maybe it should get cooler as you do cooler things. You know what I mean? Like your first multi-homer game, your first 3-homer game. I think there should be some, and then I also think that there should be a variety, like a branching type of thing, right? So there should be like 10 different things that happen when you get your first, like,
well, you know what
like
the secret sauce is?
What's that?
The secret sauce is giving you just a little bit of choice. See, if it's one thing to have you in a press conference and have your player have a little speech,
right?
But if you get that and you decide what you wear, that's a little bit of choice.
Yeah,
it changes the graphic. If you decide, now it's tricky to decide what you say because it requires recording voice lines.
Yes.
But generally, anything that allows you to change the outcome of that and have that outcome affect you further down the line, those things feel good, and they just need to open that back up.
Yeah, I think so. I think I definitely think that'll work. But the main thing that they need for the franchise mode is they need the level of customization and change that My League gives you. I mean, My League lets you do expansion, you can relocate, you can rebrand teams, all this kind of awesome stuff that people who love franchise mode love. But I think actually this is not Sony. I think this is maybe the Major League Baseball that is holding them from doing that. The other thing I think they need is they need create a ballpark. I think that's the biggest thing that they need. Create an arena in 2K is nice. Create a stadium in football is nice. But at the end of the day, every single NBA court is 94 feet 6 inches. Every single football field is 100 feet, 100 yards long. And baseball is the only sport where the field that you play on is different depending on where you're playing.
Yeah.
So that is a huge thing to have in a franchise mode, to be able to do that. And I also think it would be really awesome in Diamond Dynasty. So I have to accumulate the certain cards that allow me to construct my own stadium. And then as I keep playing through Diamond Dynasty, I'm getting, now I got the card to make my wall 10 feet tall if I want it. Now I got the card to make my wall 2 feet tall if I want it. And that just, so then you get to the point where you get all of the pieces to the stadium that you need through Diamond Dynasty, and then that's how you construct your stadium. But of course, you'd have to have some kind of parameters. You can't make it where it's 150 feet to hit a home run. You can't make it like that. But you just giving them that, I think, would be awesome. I don't know why they haven't done it. As a matter of fact, I got an opportunity to interview Ramon Russell back in 2013, I think it was. The first year, it was actually 2014, which is the first year when the show came over to PlayStation 4. And I asked him about the feature, and he said that it almost made it in 14, but it did not make it in, which made me think it was coming in maybe 15 or 16. Still haven't seen it, and now they don't even address it at all. So I don't know what that is, but yeah, I think it's something that definitely needs to happen.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're loving the game. I will most likely pick it up at some point this summer.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to getting into it. But most importantly, I'm looking forward to more Slim Pepper Jack. When's the next Road to the Show stream going up?
I'm not sure if the next one will be a stream or highlights of me playing, because if I really want to get through these series and do them, I can't say that they only have to go on one day. So it's going to, me going through the videos is going to be a combination of live streams and a combination of pre-recorded videos. So, yes, that's how that'll end up going.
Okay.
So you know what? I think I think now we can go ahead and check out the mystery topic.
Okay. All right. The people have waited long enough. So this is something I'm genuinely curious about. This is not a troll, but I know that this is a sensitive topic for you. There's a lot of player movement coming up. And there's some interesting pieces moving all over the place. I think considering his fantastic comeback season, he's actually an important piece depending on where he goes. Where do you genuinely think Derrick Rose should go?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm genuinely curious. As a fan of the game,
Thank you very much.
As a fan of comeback stories, I want to know your thoughts.
Yes. Yes. Sick and tired of this. Every time I look up, somebody try to hold me and Derrick back. We coming. Now, honestly, Derrick needs to play someplace that allows him to remain a six-man, come off the bench, and essentially get buckets as the leader of a second unit, where he's the primary scoring option, but he has shooters and just a capable rim runner for him to play with. He's not durable enough at this point in his career for him to be a starter logging 30 some odd minutes on a good team. He's not. Mm-hmm. He's not. That anybody who thinks that he is no. That's unless you want to see him hurt again, then no, that's not gonna happen. So I think that I have to see how the teams shake out next year. But I want to see him play for a team whose starting lineup is already set. They're already gangster. I really think, honestly, I think Golden State would be a great place.
The two teams that I think he would be the most awesome on overall are Indiana and Philadelphia.
I can see that.
Yeah, because Indiana doesn't have a whole lot of super dynamic guard play, but Derrick Rose has never been the greatest defender. His shooting's improved.
Dropped off a lot lately, though. A lot.
Yeah, but you hope that in that system he doesn't need to make as many shots on a team that's that great defensively. And with Oladipo coming out, hoping he gets healthy again and he's back to his prime, he would be a really nice, similar pace for a bench unit, and in that team under that kind of coaching in that Lou Williams role. And then, of course, Philadelphia. I mean, if he could go to Philadelphia right now, they'd probably love to take him. Yeah. Because they're so top heavy that he's the kind of player, a guy who can get you 20 off the bench that takes that team and really puts them in a position to beat in Milwaukee or Toronto.
I see. My thought of it is, I don't see that he doesn't. I think he fits and has a good season with both of those teams, but I would like to see him win a championship. And I don't think he puts either of those two teams over as a champion, especially if Jimmy is leaving Philly. I really don't think that they're a championship level team yet. Honestly, you want to know the truth? I think there's a situation where Derrick goes to Philly, and an outcry starts to pop up out from the Philly fan base and from a couple players that they'd rather have him on the floor at the end of the game than Ben Simmons.
Oh, yeah, I think that, and you know what? That would be a good look for them, because what would happen is Ben could slide to the power forward role with a guy like. See, the problem is right now.
Can he accept that?
Yeah.
Though?
Oh, totally. I think he could. Because he's versatile, and on defense, it allows them to have an actual point guard, and on offense, he can run with Joel Embiid, Derrick Rose, and that would actually free it up for Simmons, because Simmons gets to roam a little better. The problem is the way Simmons is roaming right now, they're not commanding enough attention from the point guard position with what they have, with the personnel that they have. So I think Derrick Rose gives Ben a lot of flexibility. Actually,
he becomes what they wanted Markelle Fultz to be.
Yes, exactly. He becomes a rich man's Markelle Fultz.
Yeah, he that's what they wanted him to be. It's just that I just don't think that's a chance. That's the reason why I think about Golden State. That's the reason why I give a little bit of thought to San Antonio.
I'm just tired of people going to Golden State.
I mean, hey,
San Antonio could use Derrick.
San Antonio, that's a good one. I think he would play well there.
The only thing about San Antonio is they lost 2 young point guards this year. Lonnie Walker, debatably a point guard, but so is Derrick.
Man, did you see him last night?
No, I didn't see him last night.
Oh man, I had no idea that kid was that athletic.
Super athletic.
Jeez.
Super athletic. So with him coming back, and they're gonna get Derek coming back, the other Derek, San Antonio Derek coming back.
Yeah.
That puts them in a position where I don't think they're gonna need Derek going forward if their guys are just healthy.
Yeah. And they're bigger. So but yeah, and then I also Toronto is another I'm sorry, I'm not Toronto. I meant Milwaukee.
Oh, Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Milwaukee doesn't have a super great backup point guard.
And they might lose Brogdon if they don't match.
Oh, Brogdon.
Yeah.
They don't match Brogdon. I don't think there's no way they don't match Brogdon.
Well, I thought that they had originally said they were definitely matching Brogdon, right? And then there was another report, which, you have to take these reports with a grain of salt, that because they've already paid Bledsoe and they're already committed to Middleton, and of course Giannis, that they may not have enough money or want to go as deep into the luxury taxes they may need to match Brogdon. So if I'm them, I'm matching Brogdon. That's just
100% efficient young player. He's a system guy. He's a Spurs type
6'6".
Yeah.
I honestly, I think he's the absolute 100% ideal point guard for LeBron. Ideal because he's a spot up shooter who doesn't mind not having the offense run through him. He's a long, versatile defender. LeBron can get his other guy who gets his own offense from another position. It doesn't have to come from.
But he's like that Mario Chalmers archetype,
right? But he's bigger.
He's better. He's bigger and better. Yeah, like more efficient. So yeah, I'm with you. They got to keep him. But see, so what's on that team? Giannis. Yeah. Giannis is basically LeBron 2.0.
Similar, right?
Bigger. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't shoot as well as LeBron, although at the same age, 6 in one hand.
I think LeBron's always been a better shooter than him, but still, shooting is the weakest part of both of their games.
Correct. And at the free throw line, they're about the same, which is the important part. And because Giannis is bigger, I don't think a player the size of Giannis has to play on the perimeter as a shooter. The fact that he starts out there and runs you under the basket and dunks on you and the three fools who tried to help, that's plenty. I don't think he needs to be pulling up for threes, because letting a 6'11", 7-foot guy with go gadget arms into the paint is not a compromise you're ordinarily willing to pay. I feel the same thing with Ben, which is why my criticism with Ben Simmons is jump shot, it'd be better if you at least took them, but free throws, that's the issue. You need to be able to run into the paint whenever you want, and when you stop running into the paint in the fourth quarter, that's when you're a problem. Not being 6'10" and not taking shots. That's fine. There's a lot of 6'10" guys who can't shoot.
Giannis is good enough at the free throw line. I mean, he's good.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, he's great. For his size, for what he does, he's great.
I can't wait, because I haven't re-rated him for my roster yet. Yeah. And I'm going to use this year because this is his best year. Yeah. I can't wait to see what I end up coming up with when I run all his numbers through my formula. I can't wait. I'm thinking he might be among the highest rated players in the whole roster, because
the key are his metrics, his athleticism.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Obviously, that's going to be there. But dude, he's shooting 58% from the field.
It's crazy.
On 17 shots.
I mean, it's really absurd, the season that he's having.
It's crazy. 12.5 rebounds. 12.5 rebounds on my scale gives him Hall of Fame hustle rebounder. So, yeah. It's going to be – no, actually, I usually put it at 13 rebounds. If you average 13 rebounds total a game, I give him Hall of Fame hustle
But it's also rebounds per minute. It's the fact that they're blowing teams out so much.
He only playing 32.8 minutes a game, man.
Exactly. That's why I don't think the Harden discussion is close, because Giannis is playing so well, he doesn't need the stats. Like, he gets his stats in 3/4 of a game. GG.
I mean, in 36, if he was playing 36 minutes, so his per 36 minutes numbers are 30 points even, 13.7 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 1.4 steals, 1.6 blocks.
And then there's the defensive numbers that aren't accounted.
They aren't even, I mean.
And the kinds of assists where guys are getting the chance to line up the Spalding logo against their fingertips before they shoot, because he drew so much help. It's insane. It's insane the season he's having.
His box plus minus So that's the box score estimate of the points per 100 possessions that a player contributed above a league average player, translated to an average team. His box plus minus is 10.5.
Yeah.
He outplayed.
Honestly, the
Crazy.
metrics. What's funny about the comparison is the metrics are in Giannis's favor offensively.
Yeah.
So the fact that his team has a much better record and he's a much better defensive player makes it an absurd comparison. Even though I don't want to throw any shade on James, he's having a phenomenal season.
He is. He's having a great year,
but not as great of a year as Giannis is having with the best record in the league and the only team that's going to get 60 wins. So that is what that is.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm the dude is. He's actually, he's actually become like one of my, I would say, 3 favorite players.
Yeah.
He's maybe 5. He's right in there though. He's right in there. 3. He's in the top, he's in my top 5 favorite players. And for me to have a top 5 favorite player who plays in Milwaukee, that's a lot. That's a lot. But yeah, for Rose, man, I would say like the Bucks, the Warriors. I thought about the Spurs, but you are right with the people that they have. Oh, you know who? No, he can't fit there either. I'm thinking about teams that are legit championship level teams. Honestly, you know what? And this might sound kind of weird, but I think he works in Houston too.
No, I don't think so.
I only think that
because
the bench,
Rivers, Harden, and CP3 play too many minutes. I think the role for him would be Chris Paul insurance, but I would want Derrick Rose playing 25 minutes a game.
Yeah, 25 minutes a game.
But I don't think he'd get 25 minutes a game in Houston.
I would play him over Rivers personally, but
age-wise, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
It makes sense for D'Antoni to cultivate Rivers than to, gamble with Derrick. I think Derrick needs to be with a veteran squad where they're a little shallow.
Yeah, because Rivers is only 26. What is Derrick? 30 now?
In Derrick years.
Oh, come on now. See, you couldn't. It was too much like right. And then you had to come and clip him at the legs.
I didn't do that.
See, and now you're doing it again. This is a horrible situation that I'm in, and I don't understand why.
But no, I'm with you. It'd be dope if he got a championship. But more importantly, I just want to see him on a team where the role that he's playing now is on a playoff team.
Yeah, I think so. I would agree.
I don't want him to be gifted one of the place like Golden State. I want him to be a real part of it.
I don't know. I think if he went to Golden State, I don't think it would be a gift. I think he put up some sick numbers and dude, the highlight reel that they would put on a nightly basis, because Derrick is still a high volume highlight reel type of player. Like when he plays, you're gonna get 2 or 3 a night of him going, whoa.
Well, that's what my criticism was for Derrick Rose for a while. People were talking about how unhealthy he was, and I'm like, they were talking about like his athleticism was gone. I'm like, hold on, it's not gone.
No, it's not gone. It might not be what it was, but it's not gone.
He's still like roughly as athletic as Eric Bledsoe, roughly.
Oh, I don't know. Eric Bledsoe's kind of a freak.
He is, but I don't think he's. I think it's roughly about the same. Like if Derrick Rose was always healthy, I think the athleticism would match.
If Derrick Rose had just kind of slowly declined into where he is now, and it didn't have the injuries,
and that's my point.
Yeah, I can see that. But Eric Bledsoe is
he's a monster.
Yeah, he's a tough little fellow. But while we were on the subject, though, just I'm gonna slide this in. Have you had an opportunity to watch Walt Lemon Jr.?
No.
Walt Lemon Jr. has played 2 games for the Bulls since he got. God. Oh, I'm just trying to say since he got called up.
I apologize to our viewers.
What are you?
He's talking about Chicago G League players.
No, he's not a G League player anymore. He's with the big club. And Walt Lemon Jr. Only problem is he's 26 years old, right? But I think that the Bulls might have stumbled upon somebody who might have a little bit of something.
He sound like what you make after you finish Slim Pepper Jack's career.
See, this is why these things. And of course, he's from Chicago. So
see, that's what this is. What's our next topic?
No, I'm telling you, man. Have you seen this guy? Have you seen him? Like, I'm just saying, have you seen him?
It's hard for me to care about anybody in a Bulls uniform right now.
See, these are the problems that we have right now. Because I'm just trying to tell you, man, he has really,
because
it's only been.
Do you know the restraint I showed not having a Mitchell Robinson topic with the numbers he's been putting up? I was researching him
because he's been killing.
He leads the rookies in win shares. That, like, according to all of the numbers, the best 3 rookies are actually Mitchell Robinson, Luka Doncic, and DeAndre Ayton. Not in that order, but
yeah,
he's actually like the 3rd best rookie on paper.
Yeah. Well, okay. I don't know why you didn't see Walt Lemon. He played against the Knicks. He didn't have a good game against the Knicks. But when the Bulls played the Knicks, he only had 6 points, 5 assists. He didn't shoot well. But in his first game against Toronto, he had 19 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, a block, and 4 steals.
Good for you, Walt.
And then against the Wizards, a game they won, he had 24 points.
Ain't nobody on planet Earth but you, Walter, and his mama care about this, right?
No, man, it's people talking about this on Twitter. Y'all not. It's somebody right now. I bet you there's somebody
at Chicago fans.
Look what? No, who did somebody say? Somebody see now they disrespecting them in the chat. Now they disrespecting them in the chat. They're taking no, straight stunting. No, he said Walt Lemon Jr. can get to that rack. I'm trying to tell you.
Don't encourage him straight stunting. Don't encourage him.
Walt is very athletic. I'm trying to tell you, man.
Wouldn't y'all like to know what the next topic is?
I'm just trying to say. Now
we have a very intelligent chat. That's what I love about this chat. We have an educated chat.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Knows what good, interesting.
You heard it here first. Okay. So when Walt Lemon Jr. becomes a serious point guard in the NBA, whether it's with the Bulls or not, you're hearing me tell you.
I hope y'all like him so much that y'all pass on Ja Morant.
No, I ain't crazy. Now, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, I know when a guy can consistently beat NBA defenders off the dribble and has vision, I know that this dude is an NBA point guard. I'm telling you, he can consistently beat guys off the dribble.
So your headline is the Bulls found an NBA point guard out the G League who's going to be a bench player at best.
No, I don't know. I don't think that's at best. Oh,
so you think he has starting caliber?
I do.
On a winning team? On a championship team?
I don't know about that yet. It's too early. But what I did was, after the 2 games that I watched, I went and I pulled him up and I started looking at some college stuff. And then I looked at some G League stuff.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I can kind of see what happened to him, why he's 26 and getting his first real look in the league right now. I can kind of see what happened. But it's all kind of coming together right at the right time for him. As from an athletic standpoint and from an understanding how to play in the NBA standpoint, I think at least he's a backup point guard, a guy who's on an NBA roster. At best, he's a good starter.
Well, good luck to him, and hopefully he gets away from the Bulls if that's the case.
See, you're okay. We got to go. We got to go to something else. We got to go because y'all, I can't, and you got all these people talking like you too, and they saying horrible things. And
they have good taste. Our chat has good taste. That's why they're watching this show and they're saying smart things.
They shouldn't learn from negativity, and there's no future in it. At any rate, let's move on to some other ridiculous statement that somebody has made. Kobe Bean Bryant is clearly just smoking weed after his NBA career. He is, in my opinion, I'm better than MJ. It's luckily your opinion doesn't matter. So because, and I want to know, how come he didn't get as much backlash for saying he was better than MJ than LeBron did?
I'm glad you phrased it that way. So my first reaction to it, because I actually saw the segment before people started reporting on it. And my first reaction to it was, he's not going to put anybody up above himself like most great players.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to directly put somebody in front of them because they're too competitive. And he didn't want to eat buffalo tongue. So that was his order. GG's. But then, as the story started to end, in my personal opinion, as much as I am a Kobe fan, I'm a Laker fan, watched Kobe's whole career, starting from high school, really. I followed the early hype. But I never thought he was better than Michael. Never thought he reached that limit. I was actually surprised how close he got watching the skinny 17-year-old kid say, I'm going to be as good as Michael Jordan. Well, he didn't say that, but clearly he was trying to fill those shoes. And if Michael Jordan wears a size 14, Kobe wound up wearing a size, 12 and a half, 13. And it's like, you know what? I heard about every, next Michael Jordan, and none of them may come nearly as close as you did. He got 6, you got 5. Good on you. Lifetime Achievement Award. But you ain't Mike. That's always been my opinion. But then as I watched the coverage and some more stories started to come out, it actually made sense to me why he said that. And I think the key thing is Kobe's not crazy when he says that. And I'm saying this as a person, I don't think he's a better player than Mike. But Kobe multiple times openly challenged Michael Jordan one-on-one. And this makes sense as to why Michael is actually better than Kobe. There's 3 main reasons Michael's better than Kobe. 3 main reasons. 1, the bigger hands, better athleticism, right? If Kobe had just that much more, he would be that little bit extra better. And there's not far from him to go because he's top 10 even on the most cynical of lists. The third thing is that Michael, and I've said this from the beginning, has much better 5-on-5 instincts. In fact, I always said Dwayne Wade had more similar instincts to Michael, superior to that of Kobe. But Kobe's so intelligent and cerebral that he was able to learn past his bad instincts and work within the system. But one-on-one is how Kobe channeled all of his energy. One-on-one is where a lot of those secret legends of Kobe Bryant are. And for Kobe Bryant, he's thinking, Michael can't beat me one-on-one. And it's one thing for him to say that now when they're both retired. But he said that while Michael was still in the Bulls uniform. And when Michael came back with the Wizards, he's like, I'm going to tear you up. And that's his mentality, is a one-on-one mentality. And he thinks he surpassed Michael on that one-on-one level. I don't know if he's right or wrong, but I understand why he would say that and believe that from his perspective.
I was joking when I said, is Kobe high? Because obviously, to me, here's the thing. Anytime you are one of the best at anything, you have a right to say you're the best, right? Because especially as an athlete, you have to be supremely confident to get to that level. If you don't think that you are the best, you are not even going to be close to being the best, because it takes that level of confidence to get to that point. So I totally understand why he would say that. Even though I think he's wrong, I think that Mike is better at everything than Kobe. I think Kobe is somewhat close in all areas, but I think Mike is literally better in everything. I think Mike was a better rebounder. I think Mike was a better and more willing passer. I think Mike was a better.
Well, we agree that Mike was better, but I will say, from what
how come I don't get a chance to say what I think?
Because here's the thing, we agree that Mike was better, so we don't have to go why Mike was better, because the whole thing is Mike was better in the 5-on-5 game. But I think Kobe has ample evidence to believe that every player he's faced is an inferior one-on-one player to himself, and that's not just from him, and it's from the stories that I'm hearing about him in the practices, in Olympic game practices, and what other players say. People have been trying to figure out for really the last year with this LeBron, Kobe, Michael conversation, why are so many players so quick to put Kobe ahead of LeBron? And honestly, I think this is the reason. Because Kobe one-on-one, he will tell you, I can't be beaten one-on-one. I'm the best that ever did it one-on-one. And I think that's the context that he speaks about. And the thing is, there's no way to prove if Michael could beat Kobe one-on-one, who would be a better one-on-one player. I know Kobe's extremely competitive in that context. Mike himself didn't took competitive pride in everything, but as a ball player, he didn't view the one-on-one game with as much esteem as Kobe did.
First of all, I don't think that that's true. Second of all, I think Mike viewed everything that was any level of competition on that level. So I don't think that that's true at all. Second of all, I don't know that that's true, that the whole thing is true about Kobe being the best one-on-one player. Thirdly, who cares? It's
He
not
cares. That's my entire point. He cares.
No one puts any value in that because there's no one-on-one league.
I actually disagree with that. I disagree with because in
people
practices,
with lower basketball IQs may care about who's the best one-on-one player. Because if you really want to know the truth, you're not the best one-on-one player. You know who's the best one-on-one player? Wilt Chamberlain and Shaq, because beat one of them in a one-on-one. Because I guarantee you're going to miss that fadeaway before he misses backing you down and dunking on you 24 times a game. So if we want to just talk about playing a one-on-one game, the big man is always going to win, which is why it's an irrelevant and ludicrous point to even make, because a one-on-one is a big man's game. If you have a really, really good big man and a really, really good small guy, the really, really good big man is going to win every time. He's going to win every time.
I actually wouldn't agree with that. It depends on the rules, because 3 is more than 2.
3 is more than 2, but you got to make them all. Because if you don't, when I get the rebound, if we're playing keeps, the only way you'll touch it again is if I hold it out and let you touch it.
And it depends on the rules that they play in. Make it, take it, or you know what I'm saying? It depends on that kind of thing. So, but here's the thing: the comparison was with perimeter players. So bringing, I think you talk about low IQ. I don't think most people compare bigs, especially bigs as extreme as Shaq and Wilt, to guards who have an entire different skill set.
But you said, as far as one-on-one, I'm the best that ever did it. You didn't specify one-on-one wing players.
But he's answering. He's answering in the context of the comparison he's being asked. And I don't know what happened with Kobe and Shaq in practice when it comes to one-on-one games. I don't know what kinds of one-on-one games they played, what the rules were, and so on and so forth. I'm sure he would give you stories about it and let you know one way or the other. But the point is that stuff happened, and that informs his opinion of himself. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about a guy who's doing what we're doing and speaking in theory. This is a guy who's on Team USA, and you said it doesn't matter to anybody. No, after practice, when y'all go on head-to-head, that matters to these guys. That's the whole reason why they look at Kobe with that reverence.
But to me, it's kind of like, if you're sitting up here and you're saying, if you're going to come up with a concept and say, I think this makes me the best, and the criterion that you're coming up with that says this makes me the best is some third level subgenre thing that is like, wait a minute, what? Like, okay, so now we're bringing in who's the best one-on-one basketball player into the conversation of the GOAT?
No, I think he thinks that's how he learned how to play. He was traveled all around the world with his dad.
Which explains why his shot selection was crap.
I mean, the guy has 5 championships and one of the greatest winners in NBA history. So,
a lower shooting percentage than he should.
I mean, again, Malcolm Brogdon is a much more efficient shooter. He's never going to be the winner that Kobe Bryant was. So
that's not even a good comparison. Compare him to somebody who took a number of shots or who carried a similar workload.
But when somebody wins that much, that's their way.
And I'm not saying
champions will tell you directly the hardest thing about playing against Kobe is that he was going to shoot that much and try and break you. I'm
not saying that Kobe Bryant wasn't a great player. Obviously, he's one of the greatest players. I don't know. I'd have to really think about whether or not he's in my top 10. I know that's sacrilege to people who were born from 1995 and up. But for me, I put a lot in the shot selection, and I put a lot into efficiency. I also put Kobe is definitely probably in my top 10. I have to think about it, but I'm pretty sure he is. But Kobe's shot selection is not it was terrible in many instances. He was just so great as a talent that he could make some of those situations work. But when you're talking about comparing him to somebody like Mike, and comparing him to some to other people who are in that same category, I think that then becomes what separates them, because we got somebody who's carrying a similar level of weight on their shoulders, like Mike, who's not taking these shots and whose field goal percentage is 20 times better than yours.
Well, I mean, it's not 20 times better than his.
But it's obviously it's better.
5 to 6% better.
That 5 to 6% over as many shots as those guys have taken is significant.
I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying, those are the numbers.
It's significant. And Mike was, to me, it's not even, I don't even think it's close. I really don't even think it's close. It's not even a close argument. It really isn't. I think, honestly, I believe Mike LeBron is closer than Mike Kobe.
It really is. So I think at this point in his career, LeBron needs more rings to even be in that conversation.
See, I don't judge it all on the number of rings, because everybody's situation is different.
Yeah, but we've talked about this on the show specific to LeBron. You lost to Hedo Turkoglu and Dwight Howard, and you lost to Dirk Nowitzki and Jason Kidd's grandfather. Like, you when you had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh on your team, like that is, and when you look at Kobe, he beat Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce when his second best player was Pau Gasol. And you could argue that all three of those guys were better than Pau Gasol. So,
I don't know about at that stage in their career, but they all three are definitely Hall of Famers. I think Pau Gasol is a Hall of Famer too, but he's not an open and shut case Hall of Famer like those three guys. Exactly. But I definitely think that Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett were both on the downer sides of their, while still effective. They were neither one of them were in their prime.
I think that they started to slide after that. During that, though, they were playing in that system, and Boston was one of the most ridiculously well-oiled machines I'd ever seen. Yeah. And honestly, it's really so all championships ain't created equal. Just like Dirk's championship, I put way up there. That was a crazy run. All the teams he beat champion after champion after champion all the way through. Like, he literally didn't beat anybody that didn't have rings, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Kobe beating those three guys with Pau as his second is ridiculous. That's ridiculous. He literally outnumbered. And the fact that, Rondo won it. And they also had, there was a deep team, too. It wasn't like those were the only guys that were there. Like, they had a full roster of well-coached veterans. That was a tremendous, tremendous championship.
It was definitely a solid championship. I am not taking anything away from the championship itself, but I don't know that I will take anything away from anybody else's championship either. I don't know.
No, we ain't talking about the champion. Even losing to the Spurs, it wasn't the fact that they lost to the Spurs. When they beat the Spurs, they squeezed it out. And then when you lost to the Spurs, you got blown off the map so bad that you left the team, basically. It's like,
no.
Literally, they got beat so bad that when LeBron was leaving, people was like, yeah, maybe y'all don't have a chance to ever win it again. Like, that's how bad they got beat by the Spurs. That was numerically one of the worst blowouts in finals history. And on paper, the talent was not nearly that lopsided.
What you're talking about in the series overall, or just like the definitive game?
I think when you look at the talent level, to lose in five.
I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm
just saying, when you comparing LeBron to MJ, LeBron is in situations where you look at MJ and you be like, okay, you would never have lost to that guy. Tim Duncan. Okay, if you're facing Tim Duncan every year, you're going to lose some. Tim Duncan's the greatest power forward of all time. And that's part of Kobe's perspective is my numbers are what they are because I'm playing with Shaq and against Tim Duncan for all of my career.
Yeah, here's my thing. Here's the one thing I say about the LeBron Kobe thing. LeBron has never, ever not been the best player on any team he's ever played on. Kobe was the second best player on every team he played on for the first 6 to 8 years of his career. He won 3 championships as the second best player on his team.
can we pause that real quick? His numbers and his role was a primary top role. It was not a second banana role. Which is
It's
why,
still a
real
second
quick,
banana roll. It
no,
still
in
is.
fact, everybody was saying this is the greatest 1-2 punch in NBA history at that point because
Definitely.
they were saying
But
Kobe
he
and
was the
Shaq.
two.
Real quick, they
He
were
was the
saying at
two.
that point there was literal arguments of like, is this the first time we've ever had the first and second best player in the league hands down on the same team? That was the discussion when Kobe and Shaq was together.
But he was the two. You said it was a 1-2 punch. He was the two. Shaq is what changed everything. Shaq changed the whole entire dynamic. He changed the way he changed the way you had to defend the team, period. And yes, was Kobe that was perfect balance for him? Absolutely. Was Kobe amazing? Absolutely. But he was the second best, second most important, second most impacting force on that team. He was. And he got
I'm
three
not arguing that,
champions,
but what I'm
and he
saying
got
is
3 championships
when
in
you
that.
say
How
when
can
you
you
say it like
argue?
that,
How can you
I'm not
argue
I'm not
that?
saying he wasn't the second best player
Okay.
on that team.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that in the traditional context of the NBA, the second best player is usually a significant step below.
I would not argue that. I would definitely say the gap between them two was not as huge as it normally
And
is.
also specifically because of their Western Conference matchups, the talent was in the bigs. Chris Webber, Rasheed Wallace, Karl Malone, Tim Duncan. And the advantage was actually Kobe in all of those series.
Yeah. I mean, I could make the same argument for Mike, right? So when the Bulls won the first NBA championship, Mike was the best player. But the Bulls probably don't win that series if Phil Jackson doesn't have Scottie Pippen that he can put on Magic, because Mike was trying to guard Magic earlier and he was getting tired.
See,
they benefited from being able to put Scottie on Magic.
I think that's overstated for a couple of reasons. Now we get into the weeds. Here's why it's overstated. Now, and I say it's overstated. I don't say it's wrong. Because when you watch those games, and I literally just watched those games, Mike still guarded Magic when Scottie was the primary defender. Mike was the secondary defender. It's not like they took Mike off of Magic because Magic got
it took the primary responsibility of guarding Magic off of Mike.
Correct. And particularly because Magic's a point guard and he's handling the ball all the time. So it was more about energy than effectiveness. People act like Magic was energy. He was just giving Mike buckets and he could see over Mike.
Energy. It was about energy. It was about how we need you to be able to go off on this end. And if we have you bumping and grinding with him for the majority of these possessions, you're not going to have it.
Right. And the key isn't could you win without? Because they couldn't win without B.J. Armstrong hitting shots. They couldn't win without John Paxson hitting shots, right?
But
they couldn't win without Derek Fisher hitting shots.
Their roles were easier to fill than it would be to fill Scottie's role.
But Kobe's role, particularly against the Spurs, and I like after watching all of their careers, I'm not confident that any of his contemporaries, Allen Iverson, Vince Carter, Ray Allen, Tracy McGrady, I'm not confident that those guys get you past Tim Duncan 4 years in a row.
No, I think I don't know that any of them would, to be honest. Because here's my thing. I'm not taking anything necessarily away from Kobe. Kobe's great. Kobe's freaking fantastic, right? But what I'm saying is that is when we're comparing people at this high of a level, we're talking about the greatest players that ever live. There are small things that separate them. And if you're looking at careers, LeBron has never, ever been on a team with a guy who was good enough to make him second. Never. Now, that's either a credit to LeBron because who is there out there that's better than him, or that's telling you that he's never had the benefit of what Kobe had. Man, Kobe walked into a beautiful situation. You
could argue Shaq walked into a beautiful situation because Kobe has 2 rings in his prime without Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal don't got no rings in his prime without Kobe.
No rings. Well, it depends on what you call his prime. I think Shaq's prime was with Kobe.
Yeah, but he also had a prime before that.
Well, I mean, I don't think that was his prime. I think his prime was 27, 28 with the Lakers. That's when he was freaking insane. Just all the athleticism, the size, everything all together, as good as it ever got for him. Now, he was really, really good with Orlando, but I think that with the Lakers, yeah, I'm like, that's a whole different dude. That's a different guy. That's to the next level. Because if he wasn't playing with Kobe, those numbers would have been even more ridiculous. Because he wouldn't have been sharing the ball with another dominant scorer. So I'm not absolutely. Shaq don't win those championships without Kobe. He doesn't, right? He doesn't. But Mike didn't even win a playoff series without Scottie. Not even a playoff series. Forget a championship. He didn't even win a playoff series without Scottie. Who is it that LeBron has ever played with?
And this is where we get
success is tied to who he can tie his success to in that way.
And this is where we get back to direct comparisons, because Kobe and Michael, their conferences were the dominant, most competitive conferences when they were coming up. Kobe had to beat the Utah Jazz with Stockton and Malone, Tim Duncan, the Weber Sacramento Kings, Portland, who had a phenomenal team at that time, right? Every year he's got, and not to mention that Melo, Iverson, Melo, Chauncey Billups, Kenya Martin squad, they were winning 50 games every year. And that team, and Dirk, you know what I'm saying? So, like, that was all of the talent in the league was over there. When LeBron was coming up, you're dealing with Dwight Howard and the Nets. Like, stop it, bro.
Nah, I don't.
Wayne Wade was hurt for a year. They didn't have no people on that team. Like, Chris Bosh was out there by himself.
He won 3 championships against the West. So
yeah, 3.
When he won 3 championships, the 3 championships he won, he didn't win those games. He didn't win those championships playing against Eastern Conference teams.
Again, you look at 3 is less than 5, and definitely less.
3
than
6. Is less than 5, but 3 is more than 2, and 2 is how many Kobe won without Shaq.
So you taking the 3 with Shaq away?
I'm not taking them away. But what I'm saying,
that's what I'm saying. It always comes back to that.
What I'm saying is, this is why you can't. This is why, to me, you can't just take championship rings in a vacuum.
No, I'm taking the whole thing. I'm taking the blowout loss to San Antonio when they had a Tim Duncan way past his prime, Kawhi Leonard way before his prime.
How is he way before his prime and he won Finals MVP?
Iggy won Finals MVP. He was way after his prime.
Yeah, I don't think he was way after his prime. I think he was right at the end of his prime, right at the end. But there's 2 Finals MVPs that are absolute complete aberrations. 2 of them. It's Iggy's and it's Cedric Maxwell's. Those 2 Finals MVPs are different than every other Finals MVP that has ever been given out. Mm-hmm. The Iguodala's Finals MVP is completely circumstantial. Mm-hmm. And I don't even really think he should have got it. Like,
so you're saying Kawhi Leonard credit. You saying Kawhi Leonard, when he won his championship, was as good as he is now? He hasn't improved since then. He's not a better player.
I'm not saying
stronger and become a much better shooter.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he. So
that would mean he's in his prime now, and he wasn't in his prime then.
I think he was at the beginning of his prime. I think that was
22 years old.
That absolutely, at that particular point in his career, I think that was when he was becoming the guy.
If Kawhi Leonard was in his prime back then, LeBron would have 2 rings. And you know it's true.
No. I mean, no, that was a different year. 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 If you look at it, like I said, that was the beginning of the prime, because what was that, the 14-15 season, right? Wasn't that 14-15?
I don't know. You have to look.
I think that was 14-15. He was 23.
Yeah, he became a much better player after that.
No, it wasn't 14-15. It wasn't 14-15. It must have been. I don't know if it was 13. Maybe it was 13-14.
Thank you, Chad.
It was
Kawhi was still in his development stage. I agree.
It was 13-14.
Props to our educated chat.
It's dude. Kawhi Leonard was the following year he led the league in steals.
The following year,
Right. This the freaking finals. It was. I mean, it was June. So yeah, 3 months later. Okay, 3 months later.
Three months of improvement later. In fact, I
Oh
think
my
if you go
God.
to every All-Star in NBA history
That
and
wasn't Kawhi's
analyze
second. That was
how
not
much
Kawhi's second year in the
how
league.
much better they got between the ages of 22 and 23 or 23 and 24 over the summer, you let me know what their games was really
It
looking
was
like.
his.
But
It was not his second year in the league.
how many years was he averaging the high minutes?
He really actually his minutes haven't changed very much ever since his third or fourth year in the league. He's playing more minutes this year now than he's ever played in his career, and he's only playing 34 minutes. So he was at 29 and 13-14, and then he went up to just under 32 the following year, and he played 33 minutes a game through the last 2 years that he actually really played for San Antonio. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think that Kawhi. I mean, did he get better? Yes, he absolutely got better.
He was not anywhere near his prime. He's a way better.
How can he not be anywhere near the prime?
When
talking about a year or two.
No, when they went into that series, he was not even considered a top 10 NBA player.
Oh, absolutely not. That's true. 100%.
And now he's considered a top 5 NBA player.
I mean, I would definitely say there's an argument. I'm not saying that he's not at his best right now. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not arguing that at all. That would be ridiculous. I'm not arguing that. What I'm saying is that it's not as when he came into that series. Yes, he was not really in that conversation, but that final series is what turned him into that guy.
No, it's what turned him into a all-star caliber player, but he didn't become in the conversation until after that, until he started shooting 40% from three-point range and started doing isolation moves, which was after that. And that's the whole thing about this conversation. Kawhi gained an entire offensive repertoire after that series.
Absolutely.
Which is the basis of me saying he wasn't in his prime. He was a different player in his prime that he was in that series. That's the entire argument.
No, the entire argument is that was the beginning of him becoming who he is now. That's the argument. He was at the beginning. How can winning the NBA Finals MVP and then progressing up to being an all-star the next year and then continuing to be an all-star each year after that, how can that not be the beginning? How does that not make sense?
I said he was before his prime. Kawhi Leonard was clearly before his prime when he beat LeBron James in the NBA Finals.
At any rate, as I said at the outset, I would take LeBron. And the LeBron versus MJ argument to me is a more valid one than the Kobe versus MJ.
Here's specifically why it's not. It's almost like our Grant Hill, Scottie Pippen discussion. I know what a Kobe Bryant championship team looks like. There's several ways to create it. The LeBron championship team, it's just not a construct that I'm sure I totally believe in, right? Like Michael dominated the league for a time. Kobe dominated the league for a time. Because even when he was with Powell, they went to the finals 3 times, right? And won twice. That's still dominant, right? Like the Lakers were dominant when they won. And they didn't have Kobe off the team, the 3, 4, 5 best players in the league without him. If Powell, was considered better because of what he did with Kobe, not what he was doing getting there. In fact, when Powell was first traded to the Lakers, the distance between him and Kevin Garnett was a lot farther than it was after he was with the Lakers. So, but when I look at LeBron's championship teams, he's got a super duper stacked Miami squad team. And then he's got the Cleveland Cavaliers beating up on the weak East, where most people believe if Draymond Green doesn't get suspended, they lose that series. And it still took amazingly clutch shooting. Now, here's the thing.
Care what would have happened.
Well, you have to care what happened because you're talking about
what would have happened. I know what did happen.
What I'm saying was LeBron's championship teams weren't dominant. They weren't dominant. He eked out basically every championship.
And you know what? The only championship that he got that there was no question who the better team was against Oklahoma City, because Durant and Russell Westbrook just were not ready, and James Harden went to sleep.
and was also a baby.
He took a nap. I don't care whether or not how old he was. He took a nap. So so I really, like I said, I think it's very much like you're saying. Kobe's teams were dominant. They were dominant when he had Shaq, yes, but Kobe Gasol wasn't dominant.
Making it to the finals 3 times and winning 2.
That is not dominant, man.
And they completely obliterated the Orlando Magic. And who did the Orlando Magic beat that year?
They beat a crappy LeBron-led Cavaliers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pound for pound, oh, God. Dwight Howard's supporting cast was not better than LeBron's supporting cast. They were equal. They were equal Eastern Conference teams with one superstar.
The lengths that people will go to try to discredit this man's career is really amazing. Like, I understand people talking about how much of a jerk he is and how he throws teammates under the bus. I totally get that. But I think it is absolutely asinine to try to discredit.
How am I discrediting him? I'm describing exactly what happened in his career.
You're seeking to everything that he has accomplished. You're seeking to try to tear it down.
So no, I'm not tearing it down. Let me simplify my point for you so you know exactly what I'm saying.
I totally understand.
No, I don't think you do, but just so the audience at home can understand. I think LeBron James is a phenomenal player. I think he's one of the greatest players of all time. I think the difficulty with LeBron James is because he is his own system and is extremely ball dominant, but is not an assassin offensively. It puts you in this quandary where you need a great offensive player to play with him, but that offensive player doesn't get to do what he gets to do on other teams, which is control his area of the court. And so what happens is LeBron teams look great in the regular season, but they're just not perfect in the playoffs. Because he's so good, they're good enough to have a chance to win, but it's not a perfect scenario. Whereas like the Golden State Warriors, even before Kevin Durant got there, were basically a perfectly constructed team because of the way the parts fit together. Kobe and Shaq was perfect, especially for that era, which was more inside, because of the way things were constructed. Michael and Scottie, perfectly fit together. LeBron doesn't perfectly fit with other superstars. And I said this back when he was in Cleveland because of how much success they were having with guys who could just catch the ball and shoot, catch the ball and finish, and play some defense. And the problem is the way you beat that is put a bunch of superstars on the team. But when LeBron tries to put a bunch of superstars on the team, it's not as good. It's not as weird because he needs people to play a little more like role players. Whereas Kobe and Shaq, despite the fact that they're so dominant offensively, don't interfere with each other getting off. Steph Curry and Kevin Durant don't interfere with each other getting off. LeBron interferes with other superstars really feeling like they're playing their game because superstars like to make decisions and get on the temperature of the team, which is why I think LeBron hasn't had a truly I don't think he's gotten the most out of the best situations that he's been in.
I don't think that he's ever been on a team with the type of players that are perfect for him. And coincidentally, if you were to put LeBron in place of Kobe on those Shaq teams, they would have been even better than they are.
I don't agree.
They would have been even better. They would have been even. That's just a weird. If you give LeBron a big man who is as dominant as Shaq, dude, he's never played with anybody. He's never played with anybody like that. Who has played with anybody like that? I mean, the entire thing is a what if scenario, though. M714. The whole thing is a what if scenario. It all is. The whole conversation is a what if scenario. I mean, who has you? You cannot minimize what it's like to play with one of the 2 to 3 most dominant forces that have ever played the game. You can't minimize that. So if you give LeBron freaking Shaq in his prime, come on, man. And then a clutch outside shooter like Derek Fisher.
It's hard to argue you just making stuff up.
How, we all making stuff up. Now we want to pull reality when I pull out a what if case, right? So everybody in here is making up stuff. We all talking about this, that, or this, all these
Because
things
you
that
in
we
here talking about if you had LeBron with even less shooting, that'd be great. No,
What are
I
you
don't think
talking
that's
about?
I
I
don't
didn't
think
say
that's
that.
how
I
it
said
works.
you were we're talking. You're comparing.
You put Shaq
You're
in the paint.
comparing. You're
That's one more
comparing.
person in the paint than LeBron
You're
needs.
comparing. You're comparing one player to the next. How is it not feasible to put the other in the other situation? When does that not work for comparison's sake?
Well, I don't. What I'm saying is the conclusion that you're drawing from that comparison. I don't believe it.
Right,
I don't think Shaq is the
okay.
perfect complement to
Now
LeBron James.
now that I can understand. I can say that. But to say, oh, now we're talking about a what if scenario, then that just says, okay, never talk about
Well,
sports again.
you're not, because you're not giving a reason that would work. I think schematically, LeBron.
I am giving a reason that would, because first of all, LeBron has we've never got an opportunity to see LeBron play with a truly dominant low post player. Because one thing we know is LeBron doesn't mind giving the ball up. The one thing we do know that LeBron doesn't. He's a willing passer. We've never seen him play with a dominant big. We have seen him play with a dominant rim runner, which there's no reason in the world to think that Shaq wouldn't excel in a screen and roll game with LeBron. We see Tristan Thompson get buckets that he can't get with anybody else playing with Shaq. So there's no reason for me to believe that Shaq wouldn't get that and even more. I mean, people act like LeBron is this idiot who is going to get on the floor and say, I see so-and-so on the floor, but regardless of him, I'm going to dominate this ball. I know he can do such and such a thing. That's more Kobe than it is anybody. That's more Kobe than it is anybody. LeBron is a willing passer. Does he a ball dominant player? Absolutely. Absolutely. He is, but he's not a guy who's not going to give the ball up. Do I think that he changed Chris Bosh's game, or Chris Bosh had to change his game to play with LeBron? Absolutely, he did. He 100% did. Look, Chris Bosh was a 20-10 machine with the Raptors. He was a 20-10 machine. But just like we've seen with several other players throughout the history of this game, people have to compromise certain aspects of their game to play with stars. That's just basketball. It's always been that way. You think Isaiah Thomas couldn't go for 27, 28 a game? Anybody who thinks that don't know nothing about Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas could have scored like Allen Iverson if he wanted to. But to fit in the team that he had, he pulled it back. He played a certain type of. Joe Dumars could have scored more. Joe Dumars was straight fire. Mark Aguirre was scoring 20-some-odd points a game before he came from Dallas over to Detroit. But his offense was trimmed down to play with who he played with. So this concept of this thought that LeBron is going to just kill everybody's game is really overblown, and just it's doesn't make much sense. Doesn't make much sense. It doesn't make much sense. And LeBron is trash off the ball. LeBron is one of the best cutters in the league. Well, this year LeBron is, I don't know. I have no idea what he's doing sometimes. But LeBron cuts well off the ball. If you look at a lot of the last second shots that he's made, many of them come off ball cuts. Many of them have come off ball cuts. So, I don't know. LeBron is just one of those guys. He's like a great painter. He's not going to really be truly appreciated as a basketball player until he's done. Until people who are just predetermined to hate on him.
And see, that's the funny thing, though.
Are not the primary
voice. What I'm saying about LeBron, you're interpreting that as hate. I'm not saying he's trash. I'm not saying he's not great. The thing is, LeBron, everybody's greatness comes with somewhat of a price, right? Yes. Mike was really, really hard to be around.
Yes.
Kobe was more of a handful in the first part of his career, but the real price of Kobe in the first part of his career was he had a certain way that he was, and people who wasn't like that, he was going to make them his enemy and fight them over it, right? And what he learned later in his career was, ain't nobody going to be up here like me, so let me start bringing guys in, which is why he got high production out of the Jordan Farmars and Sasa Vujicic's of the world, right? LeBron's greatness comes with the price that it's very, very hard to coexist with him as a coach. And it's very, very hard to and what that really means is it's hard to coexist with him as a brain. LeBron doesn't like to share the brain space of the team.
Yeah, I like I've said before when we talked about that, I think that is on the general manager and management. LeBron wants to be in the NBA. Okay, he wants to be at the top level of it. He wants to be in the NBA. If a general manager says, LeBron, the coach is in place for a reason. General manager, if the owner says, general manager is in place for a reason. The coach is in place for a reason. We appreciate your feedback. We appreciate how you feel. But we're going to let these guys do their jobs. We're going to let them, and if it doesn't work, then I'll hold these people accountable because that's what I'm here for. And if that is the way that the team is run and organizations are run, at some point he's going to run out of places to go if that's not what he wants to buy into.
That
because
is
the thing of it is the thing of here's the thing though. Here's the thing. This is the reality that Michael Jordan was given, and he had to accept. Mike wanted to run the Bulls, and Mike was the biggest star in the world. He wanted to run the Bulls, but Jerry Reinsdorf said, and I'm not a Jerry Reinsdorf fan at all, but Jerry Reinsdorf said, no, bro, we got this. You want Walter Davis on our team? No, we don't want Walter Davis.
You're talking about moves, not coaching. Michael let Phil Jackson coach. That was not a problem for Michael. Mike liked being coached.
Mike already knew, even if he didn't like being coached, it wasn't going to matter because this organization.
You made the argument that Mike got other coaches fired. You said that yourself.
No, I didn't say that. I said Magic got other coaches fired.
You didn't say Mike was part of the reason?
Magic got Paul Westhead fired.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
No, Mike didn't get anybody fired.
But either way, Mike liked being coached. LeBron doesn't like being coached. That's not even debatable. Like it's every source, reliable or unreliable, confirms that knowledge.
I think that's debatable too, but I can understand why people say that. But I mean, I think a lot of this stuff with, like I always tell you, man, the stuff with the sources and the reports, as somebody who creates these reports, I put even less stock in them than anybody.
But even players who played with LeBron and were in those locker rooms are backing this up.
Who said LeBron doesn't like to be coached? Who said that?
I mean, many people.
I'm saying I'm not even saying that it's not true. I'm saying that I don't take those types of things.
Which reporters haven't said it? Even reporters who love LeBron say that.
Like I said, I don't take those types of things as fact, 100% fact, unless I hear the player say it, or unless it's something that I witness for myself that I can say, oh yeah, I draw my own conclusion from it. But I don't take these reports and run with them. I don't, because I know how these headlines are created. I create these headlines, and I know how easy it is to create a narrative.
These are people with detailed stories about this stuff. And the thing is, we all saw him shoulder check Eric Spoelstra in front of us.
But that doesn't mean he doesn't
I had never personally seen that before in my life.
That means I don't like that guy.
Eric Spoelstra's a genius.
I don't, and I'm not saying he's right for that. I'm not saying he was right for doing that. I'm saying that just because I have a run-in with this coach, I can't throw a blanket statement on the guy and say he doesn't like to be coached.
All year, he has spoken so passive-aggressively about Luke Walton the entire year. It's been disgusting.
He's not the only one saying bad stuff about Luke Walton.
See, always an excuse. And what I've been saying
it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. You're spouting a whole bunch of I know or I thinks, and I got this from this place and I got this from that place. And I'm not willing to accept those things because we don't know any of that. I can't sit up here and put this label on this guy, and I don't know any of that stuff. I can't. Nobody does.
Wait, so you don't know that he shoulder checked Eric Spoelstra?
I know that, but I don't know that for a fact that I can say that. Oh, just because that's like me saying that's like you seeing me get into an argument.
But they weren't in an argument.
No, that's like I'm saying that's like you see me get into an argument with an Asian guy, and I'm mean to him, and then you go around saying, "Oh, he doesn't like Asian people." What? Because I had I had an issue with this guy. Now,
That's
all
like
people of his type I don't like or
that's
I don't
like
get
me
along with.
saying you get into an argument with your Asian boss and curse him out, and me saying, yeah, he got a problem with his boss. That's what this is.
No. No, it's not. I got a problem with my boss, but I don't have a problem with bosses. You can't say that because I had a problem with one boss. That's
Well,
the one. That's the apples to
he
apples comparison.
he appeared to undermine David Blatt. He has appeared to undermine Luke Walton. He definitely visibly undermined Eric Spoelstra. And at this point, we're running out of coaches he's had. So, you know,
From
thing
what
is,
I recall, he liked Paul Silas.
and the coach, I mean, that was 100 million years ago, but the one coach is the coach who let him do whatever he want, which was Ty Lue. Just give him the clipboard, walk away and coach everybody else. And LeBron was like, this guy I like. So it's very, and again, there's not even a conflicting story with this. It's not like the LeBron haters are saying this and some people like, no, I give the guy a break. Even the people who have covered him all his life say this is extremely consistent with his behavior the entire time. He demands a certain amount of real estate. And the funny thing is, this isn't an entirely bad thing. It's not entirely a knock. It's not like Allen Iverson not listening to his coaches. Allen Iverson, you know, one of my favorite players of all time, not the sharpest basketball mind ever, right? So Allen Iverson, you kind of like, maybe you should shut up and do what Larry Brown told you to do. LeBron James, hey, you got some pretty good ideas about how to play the game of basketball. And the reason what you're saying about an organization controlling LeBron, the GM coming down, the reason it's not realistic is because outside of the absolute prestige owners and GMs in the league who can guarantee success for an organization over decades, LeBron James is bringing a level of success that totally justifies his attitude. Totally justifies it. If he says, hey, shut the fuck up and do whatever I want, and I'm going to get you to the finals and lose every year, most organizations would be like, how much would you like, sir? How many zeros should I put on that check? That's why it's not realistic, because of what he's bringing to the table.
If that's the case, then nobody ever has a right to if that's the case, and like, I'm not totally saying that is, but if that is the case, then no one ever has a right to criticize LeBron for being who he is. Because all of these GMs, all of these owners are essentially enablers. And nobody has ever stepped in and said, dude, you're a player and we're going to take your opinion and we'll listen to you.
Well, just because people enable your habit doesn't mean you're not responsible for your habit. And the bottom line is that LeBron James, I feel, has cost himself, and it really specifically, if he would let a coach truly coach him, that would make it easier for other superstars to play with him. And it would put him in a reduced role, but probably get him more wins. Almost definitely. And I've been consistent with this. What I've been saying, even with Cleveland, is if instead of taking all of the offensive responsibility and then just loafing around on defense and playing defense whenever he feels like, he actually played, and somebody actually made the comparison today, I think it was Rick Bucher or Chris Broussard, did what Kobe did in the Olympics, which was basically, you guys got the offense covered here. I'm going to lead on the defensive end. You know what I'm saying? And then on that team, what happened? When they needed Kobe in the clutch, and they were fighting against a really good team, and they were like, they're playing a zone. We can't break it. Literally, Dwayne Wade went over to Kobe and said, we need you to take over this offense right now. He said, no problem. I got you. And that's how that team won. That is the attitude that, especially as his career goes on, when he needs younger offense and established offensive players to take the load off, he needs to adopt that career. But he would rather just keep playing point guard and not playing no D. And if you don't let him do that, he's going to throw you under the bus. He's going to backtalk you in the media, and he's going to be passive aggressive the entire time. This is clearly his behavior. And look, it's probably still good enough for him to win some playoff games, throw up a bunch of stats, pass a bunch of people on the record books, and it's all going to look really good. But it's part of the reason he only has 3 championships.
I think that part of the reason he only has 3 championships, if you're comparing, LeBron has some bad losses. He has, in my opinion, 2 really bad losses. in the finals. I actually one really bad loss in the finals, and the other one is kind of the losing in 5 to San Antonio. I don't think that is as bad a loss as you're making it seem. I think San Antonio was an outstanding team, and I think that the Heat at that point were really at the end for a lot of reasons. I think that Bosch was a different player at that time. I don't know if it was a health situation or whatever it was. And even Wade had lost a step. So they were not the same guys that they had been before. Wade was banged up late in the season. It was a lot going on late in the season. The one really bad loss in the finals is the loss to Dallas the first year. That was terrible. That was a bad loss.
And I have that Orlando loss on the table as well.
I really don't think that Cleveland team was great. Should they had beaten
that Orlando team wasn't
great. Should they have beaten Orlando? Yeah, I would say so. I would
say Kobe mud stomped that Orlando team.
Kobe didn't mud stomp the Atlanta team. The Lakers mud stomped that Orlando team.
That was an easy series. That was the easiest championship that he personally ever had. He did whatever he felt like doing.
Yeah, you know why? Because you had Gasol and Bynum inside. So Orlando had Dwight Howard
was better than both of those guys at that time.
Yeah, but it's two of them. It's two of them, and he was and
they have Rashard Lewis pulling guys out the paint.
They had Dwight Howard and a bunch of
shooters. Their issue was they had no one to guard.
And you want to talk about a team that was built perfectly. Orlando may not have been, from a talent standpoint, great from top to bottom, but they were built efficiently, and they were built more as a team than the team that Cleveland had. They were built better.
I don't agree with that. Cleveland was a better regular season team, weren't they?
Yeah, they were a better regular season team, but in a playoff situation, I think Orlando was built better. They were built better, in my opinion, because there was. Essentially they played 4 out, 1 in for the most part.
Okay.
And everything that they did functioned and ran like a well-oiled machine. And they were an elite level defensive team. Now, they didn't have a bunch of killers offensively. But on defense, they were elite.
On defense, that Rafer Alston and Hedo Turkoglu and Rashard Lewis was locking you up.
Yeah, but Hedo Turkoglu and Rafer Alston didn't even start.
Jameer Nelson was hurt.
Jameer Nelson was. I thought no. Rafer did play in the postseason. He did play in the postseason. He played in the postseason. Rafer Alston is. I mean, it wasn't like he was out there playing no D. It was like he was out there playing no D. I mean, and overall, that's one guy. The defense was still a good defense. Look at the amount of points that they allow per game in the postseason. They play good defense. That's the only way that team could go that deep is defending, because they weren't lights out scorers, because essentially it was Dwight and shooters.
Again, they lost in 6, right? Cleveland lost in 6.
I believe they lost in 6. Yeah.
Yeah. They lost in 6 and LA won in 5. That's not a good look. Particularly when Cleveland, I think, had like the #1 record or something like that.
Like I said,
that's a bad
it's a different team, man. It's a different team. He plays with his teammates. He plays with his teammates. It's not a one-on-one game, which I think is the problem, because you and Kobe think it is.
Well, again, I don't even agree with Kobe. My main point with Kobe was it's one thing when you having hypothetical conversations. It's another thing when this guy has played so many of these people one-on-one behind the scenes and feel like, oh, that guy can't guard me. I tear him up on the court.
That's what he did behind the scene. It doesn't matter.
They care. That's my point.
Well,
they care.
Let them say it, but I don't.
They have. That's the point. Steven Jackson guard. They ask him, Kenyon Martin, who you pick? Kobe Bryant, LeBron. They're like, Kobe.
You just named
no hesitation, Kobe.
You just named the 2 Rhodes Scholars that ever played in the NBA. If you quoting Steven Jackson and Kenyon Martin,
now you insulting the intelligence. These guys were good, but honestly,
Steven Jackson and Kenyon Martin like you quoting somebody with.
They're not the only 2. I'm just saying they're guys who played against both players.
Never ever. This might be the first time ever in history Kenyon Martin said was being quoted as something to refer to as if it was a statement of authority.
I mean, again, you can insult. It's convenient for you to insult these guys.
It's not convenient. It's accurate.
If you want more players, you can go onto YouTube and look up players who would take Kobe over LeBron. And I assure you, you will be busy for several hours.
There's no question. LeBron has far more haters. There's no question.
I don't even think these guys aren't haters. So there's some of these guys that say, I'd rather play with LeBron, but if I had to choose who I'd rather play against, I'd also rather play against LeBron. And the funny thing is, they all say basically the same thing, because against Kobe, you don't get a break. Kobe just tests your fatigue more. And in fact, you can actually see this happening during a game when they're playing against Boston. Kobe's killing Paul Pierce. Doc Rivers literally he's mic'd up. He has to go over and give him a pep talk. He's just one man. It'll be okay.
I'm quite
That's
sure.
Crazy.
I'm quite sure there's a lot of pep talks.
That ain't happened when LeBron played.
I'm quite sure there's a lot of pep talks that have to be given to LeBron's opponents. I mean, it ain't
Why are
like
you quite sure. You're just saying you're quite sure. I'm giving you evidence. You're just saying you're quite sure.
So you crack me up taking these one-off sound bites and trying to throw them together like they have this general meaning. This is a one-off sound bite that somebody had. You act as if we know everything that's ever been said in every huddle, every speech, every conversation about LeBron. We don't know what's been said on the sidelines with LeBron's opponents. How is that? Does it what?
I'm presenting evidence. You're not presenting evidence. This is called, you're trying to prove a negative. I don't prove negatives. That's the logical fallacy.
I think the problem is you're ignoring the variables.
What variable?
The variable, because you don't know. You don't know what's being said. You don't.
I'm telling you.
You don't know. I'm saying you trying to say ain't nobody ever said that about. Then nobody said that about LeBron. How do you know that?
Most players who've guarded both Kobe and LeBron consistently
say. How can you say most players? Based on who is most?
Based off of the interviews.
Based off the interviews that you've seen.
Check Tracy McGrady, Allen Iverson. These aren't the only guys, man. Like it's.
When did Allen Iverson guard anybody? Either one of those guys.
Just telling you what these guys are saying.
I'm just telling you.
I'm telling you what these guys are saying.
I'm just telling you that you're trying to paint a world out of a small village.
That does not make much sense.
It makes a lot of it makes about as much sense as you quoting Kenyon Martin and Steven Jackson as if they are authorities. It makes just the same amount of sense.
As players, both of those
you're
guys
taking a small piece of a small micro picogram of content, and you're trying to distribute that as if it is fact, and as if it is a broad reaching fact. And you can't make these statements. You're making broad statements off of little small pieces of evidence and saying, oh, you're making generalizations, which is what most fans do. They make generalizations off small things.
How am I making a generalization?
That's a generalization. You're saying, oh, I never seen no interviews with nobody talk about LeBron, so they must not exist.
No, here's the thing. You said they probably say that about LeBron. You said, I'm sure they also say that about LeBron.
I think that's a logical conclusion to make because he's a great player. It's not a logical conclusion to draw to say that they haven't said it simply because there's not been an interview of it.
I'm saying I have evidence of many cases of people talking about Kobe was their toughest one-on-one cover. He's the guy they least like playing, least like defending.
Okay, Michael Jordan said the player that he had the most problems with was Mitch Richmond. Last week, you pissed on Mitch Richmond.
So what?
So now what? So now
that's a completely unrelated topic.
I'm trying to say what one or two guys said. That doesn't make it fact. That's their opinion.
Sure.
And we don't even know what affects their opinion. We don't know if this person is saying this because he don't like LeBron. Because there's a lot of people that don't like LeBron.
The guys, for instance, Steven Jackson, he likes LeBron plenty. He's been defending LeBron the last several days. I mean, he's not a guy with no evidence of a vendetta against LeBron. He's, in fact, out of everybody, one of the reasons he's a good reference is because I think he's speaking honestly. So whether he's right or wrong, and that's the whole thing. Even what I'm saying about Kobe, I'm not even saying Kobe's right. What I'm saying is I totally understand his mentality, looking at how he came up, looking at how he interprets the game.
And I understand his mentality too. I said that. I totally understand his mentality. He is one of the greatest players that ever lived. And if you are one of the greatest of anything, you have a right to think that you're the best.
The thing that I respect is that he challenged Michael to his, because they're friends, Kobe and Michael. So Kobe will not hesitate to tell Michael Jordan continually. And he started this when he was a kid and would do it all the way through. And this is part of the reason Michael likes Kobe over LeBron by quite a distance, is Kobe challenges Michael and genuinely feels that, hey, 6 championship versus 5, you got that, but one-on-one, I got that. And I respect that. To say that to the GOAT, that's ridiculous, particularly when you've played him several times.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Like I said, I don't have a problem with him saying
and
that.
we both know Michael was 50 years old beating up these kids in practice.
No, I don't have a problem with him saying that. Like I said, I was joking at first when I first started off. I said, "Is he high?" I totally understand why when you're that good at something, you have a right to think, yeah, I think I beat just about anybody. Yeah, I mean, you do. You have a right to think that.
Yeah.
I don't think he's right, but I do think you have a right to think that.
Fair enough. Well, that was a good topic.
That was a great topic that you just, I don't know what some of this stuff you was talking about, but it's okay.
I just leave it to our intelligent, astute,
see, that's the difference. See, that's the difference.
Phenomenal taste.
I don't need the chat to validate what I'm saying. I don't need. I never.
They're not gonna. They're too
never
smart.
Have, never will.
They're too smart.
Never have, never will. Never have, never will. Never have, never will. That ain't how I roll. That ain't how. I don't even look to the side for the pass. I'm like Kobe.
I just appreciate that on our show we keep intelligent company. That's all I'm saying.
I'm like Kobe. I don't even look to pass. I don't even look to.
Should we get to ask us, bro?
No, we got enough. We already in the midst. We're in the midst of Mortal Kombat. I don't know why you want to stop the fatality.
Oh man, this fatality. What we doing? I'm actually glad you bring up Mortal Kombat. I'm super excited about this game. Guaranteed day one purchase. Probably going to pre-order it to get Shao Kahn. You've gotten into the beta. What you got?
I thought that it was outstanding.
Awesome.
I think that graphically it's fantastic. I think that it has the type of movement that is like addictive. Like you really, really want to continue. Like I wanted to keep. I rematched the dude like 5 times, and that's kind of rare for me for a fighting game, especially in a beta. I think the last time I was like that was one of the EA UFC betas, and before that, it was Fight Night Round 3. Was the last time I felt like that about a beta. And so I was digging it. I was mad when Sunday came along and I couldn't play it anymore.
Awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. So
all right. Well, if me, you, and Junior need to hop into Ask Us Bro lobby,
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, I dig. I really, really dug it. I can't wait to get access to more the characters, but because I think you only had like 4 or 5 that you could play with. But yeah, it was phenomenal, man. I was really like, I was actually I was surprised at how much I liked it, because I didn't think that I would like it as much as I did. So I thought it was really good. Really good.
What I've been noticing about NetherRealm is since Injustice, they've really been getting Injustice 1. They've been getting better and better with the feel of their games. Mortal Kombat X felt better than Injustice, and then Injustice 2 felt a lot better than Injustice, and in some ways Mortal Kombat as well. So that's part of the reason I'm looking so forward to it, because I can see that they're getting some of that gumminess out of the NetherRealm controls, and it's starting to feel a little snappier. And that's what I've heard from the pro players who've played it, is that it's much more footsies based, meaning the movement and the spacing seems like much more of an issue now. And that's what makes fighting games great, is controlling that spacing.
The only thing that I would say that I didn't like was there, and this may be something that needs to get tweaked after the based on the feedback from the beta, was Mortal Kombat is always dependent upon the counter uppercut out of the kneel. So a lot of times I would set that up, would look like perfectly to me. The person would come diving or flipping in, and I would evade or block the leaping attack, and I would come down and try to counter it with the uppercut. and I swear it looked like I was sweeping right through the face and it wasn't landing.
Mm.
So I think there's like a collision detection or a physics issue that probably needs to get cleaned up. And I don't know. I had to look at it again, and I don't think I recorded any of the gameplay. I should have, but because there was no embargo on it, you could put out anything you wanted.
Yeah, a bunch of people went for that job.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was maybe it actually wasn't connecting, and maybe they did something with spacing that made it where when you land right next to somebody, you're not close enough for that uppercut. But I
Yeah.
don't think they would do that because that's a signature kind of a move in Mortal Kombat, that counter uppercut. So I don't know, but yeah,
That's something I'll look to test when I play the game.
yeah, I didn't notice it didn't land. I mean, I did it like 3 times in a row with Baraka, and Baraka even has
Yeah,
an
the blades.
extension
Yeah.
because of the blade, and he still wasn't hitting it. So I don't know, but it was certainly was not enough to make me not like it.
Yeah.
It was outstanding.
Dope.
So I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the last video I just put up on one of the last videos I just put up on my channel I did my review on Dead or Alive 6. So take a look at that. It was edited up real nice by the wife. She hooked it up real dope.
Speaking of which,
yeah,
props to Portia for that thumbnail on the haircut topic.
yes, she did that. She did that alone. She worked
That was
alone.
genius.
She worked alone with that.
My brother literally came over to me just to show me that and laugh.
Yeah.
So
She took care of that. Pretty much every single thumbnail on this channel, she does alone. So she comes up with with it. Like I really like the one that she did. What should be the next NBA expansion team with the I don't know where she got this map of the NBA map or whatever she did. So yeah, she's doing a pretty good job with that.
Props,
so,
excellent job on that stuff so far.
Yeah, I got to get my hair like that actually to win the so I think that might be kind of sexy. All right, so let's see what we got here. Ask us, bro. All right, so let's look at what we got here. As soon as I get my life together and I find it. All right, so we just lost one. We just lost one. All right, so we got Alex Campbell says, "Will R.J. Barrett be a star in the NBA?" I'm not convinced he'll be a star. When I see him, one of the people that comes to mind when I see him is Tyreek Evans. And so yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the not sure category. And the reason is, well, first of all, he's young, right? And at his age, we can't, he can go either way, obviously. What concerns me, there's a few things. Not a great 3-point shooter. Doesn't appear to have a broken form, so that could easily improve. Not a great ball handler. Not only finishes with his left hand. And while he's a plus athlete, I don't think he's an elite athlete.
No, he's not a freak.
Right. Doesn't have extreme burst. So now we start to get into the category of what is it you do really well? Because in the college game, he's getting a lot of rebounds that aren't going to pan out when he's playing against bigger people. A lot of inside baskets that aren't going to pan out when he's playing against bigger people. And the free throw shooting is extremely alarming. So all those negatives said, what I also see in RJ is he appears to be hungry. He appears to love the game. And he appears to be a guy who takes to coaching and is willing to learn. So he could easily be a guy that comes back with a bunch of tools, after every summer and could turn from a guy who's looking a little more like a Tyreek Evans to a guy who's looking more like a Paul Pierce, Paul George type of guy. So, I that's why it's I don't know, because it really depends on how much he wants to develop. He has the physical tools to be an NBA star. He has the mentality to be an NBA star, but right now he doesn't have the skills of a sure thing. I think Ja and Zion are sure things relative to, their skill set. Whereas RJ Barrett's skill set, I think, is more of a Paul Pierce, CJ McCollum skill set. And we need to see him get a lot better at that before he fulfills that potential.
Yeah, I definitely don't see the Paul George thing because I don't think he's long enough, and I don't think he's athletic enough, and I think that's two of the really, really big qualities that Paul George brings is the length and the athleticism, and that's something that RJ doesn't have.
It's more
Uh,
Paul George's creativity.
Okay, I definitely see more Paul Pierce than I see Paul George for him. I think that's a better person for him to look at. But what will help him quite a bit is if he becomes a better shooter. That's big for him because the fact that he's not a great shooter makes makes the fact that he's not a freak that much more potentially detrimental. You know what I mean? Because so that's the thing that worries me a little bit about him. But he is a killer, and that's what I like. He's a straight killer. He wants to be great. He's the son of a professional player. He's been linked with pro players his entire life. His godfather is Steve Nash. So he's got he's around. He's been around ballers and killers like his whole life. So I think that definitely bodes well for him in his future and his overall ceiling and his his ability to add different facets to his game and just overall just to get better. But I'm not convinced that he's a star. Okay, so M71408 says rank your top 5 power forwards of all time. For me, number 1 would be Tim Duncan. Number 2 would be Charles Barkley. Number 3 would be Karl Malone. Number 4 would be Kevin McHale. And number 5 would be Kevin Garnett. Actually, I'd probably put Kevin Garnett 4 and McHale 5.
My list is similar to yours, but I would probably have Kevin McHale 2. Kevin Is Kevin Durant a power forward now?
I think he's a 3. I think he's a 3 that's playing 4 because it fits the team that they're on sometimes, but I think he's a 4. I mean, I think he's a 3.
Okay. And is Giannis a 4?
Who starts at the 2 for them?
It was Brogdon.
Because if I definitely would have to consider him for sure. He's starting at the 4. The last 2 years he's been playing a 4.
Okay. Then I definitely have to change that up. I have Tim Duncan 1. I would honestly take Giannis 2nd. I would take McHale 3rd. I would take Kevin Garnett 4th, and I would take Barkley 5th.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely wasn't think I don't know. I was thinking him as a 3 because I that's kind of what he came in as,
Yeah,
and
but
he still has more years at the 3 than he.
but his
I
most
guess he has
dominant
a. I guess
his most dominant years as of right now are at the 4.
yeah.
He looks like he's going to spend his prime at the 4.
I think he probably will. If he probably will, I don't know. Maybe I'll wait for him to play that a little
My
bit
thing
more.
is, I call me president of the moment, but I would take Giannis this year over everybody on that list outside of Tim Duncan.
Yeah, no,
So, and I watched
I would
a
agree.
lot of all of those other guys play.
No, I would agree. I would agree.
Yeah,
The way he has been this year, I
yeah.
would take him over. Somebody said M714 said Giannis over Dirk. Yeah, Dirk. Yeah, I mean that's.
Okay, so if you're talking about all-time greatness, obviously Giannis hasn't had a chance to be what Dirk has after a 20-year
Right,
career. But
right.
to this point in their careers, yes. Take out the championship year, yes. So if Giannis is simply what he is now for the next, is he 24? Good
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah.
So young. If he's what he is now until he's 32 years old, then yeah, I take him over Dirk, whether he wins a championship or not, because Dirk had the 1 year where I really do think that playoff run, he was the best player on the planet.
And where did you have Karl Malone at again?
I didn't have Karl Malone on my list.
Mm.
I'm disrespecting him.
Karl Malone's my least favorite player of all time, but
Yeah.
I couldn't. I would not say that he's. I wouldn't do that, but
Well, the thing about it is that everybody else on that list, with the exception of Barkley, I had Barkley on there, right?
yeah, Barkley fifth.
Okay. Barkley's a better one-on-one scorer. Everybody else on that list plays better defense. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I prefer everybody else defensively. And
Over Barkley.
No, over Malone and Barkley. Not that Malone was a terrible defender, but he wasn't a guy. Yeah, but he wasn't a guy that I would choose to put on the other team's best inside guy. Whereas Tim Duncan, Giannis, Kevin McHale, and Kevin Garnett, I don't mind sticking them down on the block with somebody and being like, take this guy who's going to get you 30 and make sure he only gets 19. You know, whereas Malone, all time, like, honestly, I'm picking Barkley because I like him more than Karl Malone, not because I think he's better than Karl Malone.
Yeah. That. I mean, I do think that Barkley's a better player than Karl, and the reason why I think Barkley was a better player than Karl is because Barkley could get his own shot. I never saw.
That's what I'm saying.
I never saw that Karl could get his own shot.
Yeah.
Barkley was every bit the rebounder that Karl was, perhaps even better and smaller. Prime Barkley was a freakish athlete.
That's the problem with Charles, is that Charles spent too much time out of shape.
Yeah.
And Karl Malone was in the best shape of anybody who's ever played. Every minute.
All the time.
He's probably in that shape right now.
All the time.
Probably got an 8-pack.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the time.
So, but on this kind of a list, I don't care about your 18 years necessarily. I care probably about the 7 years. Your 7 best is kind of what I tend to think. Giannis is so good, I allow him to break that rule. And I'm just like, this year, Giannis, he's so young, he's so good on both ends that, I mean, outside of Tim Duncan, I've never seen the power forward.
I guess if the person asking the question is saying, are we talking about over an entire career, which is kind of more of how I was taking it, then I would not put Giannis there yet, because here's the thing. God forbid Giannis get hurt and he's never the same or doesn't play anymore. What he's done already would make me go, wow, man, Giannis would have been really amazing. But soon he drifts off and we're not talking about him anymore. So if you're thinking about it from an all-time career standpoint, then Giannis can't really make my list yet. And I'd have to think twice as to whether I would probably replace McHale with Dirk because of, like I said, from an all-time career standpoint. But if we're talking about game, just straight game, Giannis pushes Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Pushes him for number one. He pushes him. He's that good right now.
And he's only 24.
He's that good. So it really just kind of depends on how you ask the question.
Yeah, and I like to answer these questions more about game. And the thing about Giannis is I do think Giannis works in any era, where there's guys like Karl Malone, where I think in the more spread era, his pick and roll defense is going to suffer. Charles, same thing. I think McHale will be fine, and you play him at the 5. Tim Duncan just stopped playing yesterday, so we know how he'd turn out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's really Garnett, Timmy, and Giannis. Those 3, I feel like, man, I could take those guys anytime, anyway.
Yeah, any era.
Yeah.
Any era for sure.
I give McHale more credit because he dominated in his era. I realized Larry and Parrish was there, but he was a monster, and also he practically, I mean, he pioneered so much of the post game.
He's among the 3 greatest post scorers in the history of the game.
Yeah, and even when you see him now, like broken down, super old, just the way he does the moves is like watching an old guitar player play.
Dude,
You know, an old guitar player with like arthritis in his hands, but he hits that note, you're like, oh, I could tell you used to be a master.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's Kevin McHale, so he gets third on the list for that reason.
He got a move, man, that I literally learned watching him demonstrate it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And he gets the ball in the low post with his back turned, and then he swings around a reverse pivot to the uses his left foot as the pivot foot, swings the right foot around, faces up. He swings the ball to the left. He throws the ball out to the right to create the space, goes to get it because he knows where it's going. And when he gets it, he spins back into a fadeaway. And obviously you got to have the touch to knock it down, but it's the footwork involved ridiculous. Is just insane.
Yeah, if you watch him talking to Miles Turner, actually, you can tell Miles Turner has never been taught that level of post game before. Like literally, if he just worked with Kevin McHale every summer, he'd be a better offensive player by far.
Yeah.
And the thing about Kevin is he's so, I don't even like to use the word fundamentally sound. His technique is so excellent.
Yes.
That when he does moves, it's the opposite of Dwight Howard.
Mm-hmm.
Dwight Howard does moves because he's seen the poses. He's been taught to put your foot here, to put your shoulder there. Kevin McHale moves with a purpose so that everything he does is creating a potential threat. And that's something I think people lose when they don't actually watch the older games, which is why I always put an emphasis on watching these guys, because some of the stuff you see back in the day is really amazing in terms of the mind games that's being played with some of these moves that people are just taking an animation package today.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing it with the same level of purpose that they did back in the day. Watch Tim Hardaway do a crossover, even Isaiah Thomas. Watch Isaiah Thomas right now do a hesitation dribble. It's better than 90% of the hesitation dribbles in the league because he does it with a purpose that's actually a convincing fake. And when you watch these guys play, you actually get that. And I can't take that away from Kevin McHale, even though I think the versatility of the power forward increased in the Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett era.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Kevin McHale is a different type of 4, and he'd have to move to the 5 in today's game, and he'd still have a problem when they put him in screen and roll. But I like I said, I usually,
you know what? I'm gonna revise my list a little bit. I'm gonna put Dirk in number 5.
I think
to be honest with you. I'm gonna put Dirk in number 5. He bumps off Charles and Karl Malone to me. I know it's not a popular choice, but honestly, I first of all, he won a ring beating everybody when he was the best player on the team, and he beat killers, just killer after killer, and he was in that same competitive West that Kobe we talked about earlier. You know, he had to deal with the Kobe's and the Tim Duncans and even Kevin Durant year after year, Chris Webber year after year. He had to deal with that, you know, and he got a ring out of it. I respect one probably still the greatest power forward shooter ever. Dirk's bad boy.
Yeah, he is.
And
he is.
I take, and that year he was actually playing better defense. So I definitely take prime Dirk over prime Barkley and prime Malone.
Yeah, like I say, it really you have to define what the argument is. Are we talking about the players in their prime, or are we talking about all time as their career? Because usually when you say all time, you're talking about a career and not just prime.
So, I think Dirk beats Charles and Karl Malone all time too. Like I know,
I think so. I mean, he got a championship.
Yeah, and he got it.
And he got and he scored. Did he catch Karl? I think he caught Karl, right?
Oh, what?
In scoring.
No. Karl hadn't been caught yet.
Karl's second.
He's second. Kobe's third, I think.
Okay.
Michael was fourth. I think LeBron is fourth now.
Yeah. I know Dirk's right in the same category as Karl. He's right there. I know he's right there in terms of all-time scoring. I know he's right there. So, but yeah, man, you gotta give him his props for sure. But all right, what's the next one? All right, so Alex Campbell says, which was better, LeBron 2016 championship or Wade 06 championship? I definitely think Wade 06 champion. Well, I think it's close. It's really close, but I would lean Wade 06. But it's really close. It's really what LeBron did that year was phenomenal.
I'm gonna pick LeBron because I honestly, as great as a defender as Wade has been his entire career,
mm-hmm.
I thought that year was the closest that LeBron came to being the best offensive player, the best defensive player, but also like the best playmaker in the league.
No,
And,
he said 16 LeBron.
oh, the Golden State Warriors,
Right.
the L.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I still say, well, I think that's the best version of LeBron. Like I think that was the
This is
loss.
this is the one when they came back from 3-1 deficit.
Oh no! I thought the year before that was the one that LeBron was at his absolute best. To be honest with you.
Yeah, because the 16 championship is beating Golden
Yeah,
State.
that's what. Yeah, I would actually take 2015 LeBron over 2006 Dwayne Wade.
I think that I think they're saying. I think they're saying that because it was a championship that it didn't look like LeBron was supposed to win. And the 06 championship that the Heat won with Wade, they definitely wasn't supposed to win because they were not a better team than Dallas.
Yeah, and Dwayne got a lot of
Dwayne,
controversial calls.
but
He was
Wade,
great. He
oh
was
God.
great.
I'm gonna tell you, as much as people talk to Kobe, that was the closest thing to Mike I'd ever seen.
Yeah, he was wild. He was definitely wild. And when Dwayne Wade was coming up, I was saying he was a better comparison for Michael than anybody I'd ever seen. Despite Vince having the dunks and Kobe having the post game, I thought Dwayne, his overall way he played the game was similar to the way Mike just saw the 5-man unit. Mm-hmm. Just the intelligence was there, the instincts were there, the athleticism was there, the strength, the defense. I thought Dwayne Wade just a little short and not as good of a shooter. Yeah. But outside of those two things, he had it. I totally agree with that. But yeah, I would definitely take LeBron. Especially once LeBron got a post-up game, there was 2 years where LeBron was absolutely ridiculous.
2 years with the Heat, right. The 2 championship years with the Heat.
Yeah. Defensively, that was his peak. But offensively, he was a little better when he was in Cleveland still because his shooting got better. Mm-hmm. And his post game got better.
Well, I think he shot his highest percentage from 3-point range with Miami.
Yeah, but you look at the games, the shots that he was getting was because of Bosh and Wade and the pace and space system. He wasn't, stepping back and pulling up in people's faces like he was in Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland.
He was a better shooter in Cleveland, like despite the percentages. Yeah, he was shooting role player 3-point shots in Miami.
Yeah, I think Miami.
No, he was getting a lot of
he was getting a lot of
wide open looks.
Getting a lot of good looks. He
wasn't getting a lot of good looks in Cleveland because he was the primary.
I don't think the system, the offensive system in Cleveland was nearly as good as it was in Miami. Just overall, and I think that also had something to do with, I think they would lost to Golden State anyway. Golden State was just a better team. But I don't know. I still say Wade because I remember that series and I remember thinking there is no way in the world they can win this series. But I thought the same thing with LeBron, and I agree with M7 because he said that he thinks that the 16 championship is LeBron's greatest accomplishment in his career, and I 100% agree. Winning that championship against that team in that situation at that stage of his career in that city with all of what had gone on, easy. That's the greatest accomplishment of his career. Easy.
Correct.
Nothing else is like that. And he feels that way too. That's why he said that championship right there, that made me the GOAT. That's the one that made me the GOAT. Now I don't agree with that particular going that far.
That's a wild boy statement right there.
I don't agree going that far. I think it has more credence than somebody leaning on their one-on-one prowess as to say that they're the GOAT. I think it makes more sense than that because at least happened in the context of the way that they actually compete officially. But I still don't agree with it either way. I think Mike is still the best. But let's see who else we got here. M7 says, what's your favorite movie of all time? My favorite movie, you should be able to tell because it's one of the 8 on my wall back here. So my favorite movie is the one over that shoulder. Usual Suspects is my 100% favorite movie. I don't know if anybody who hasn't seen the movie, if you have not seen Usual Suspects yet, I just really, I can't more strongly recommend, especially if you haven't seen it, especially if you don't know anything about it. And I am a total non-spoiler guy. I do not give spoilers at all. The movie could be 45 years old. I'm going to ask you, did you see it before I start talking about it? That's just the way I do. I just say, if you have not seen The Usual Suspects and you don't know anything about it, I cannot more strongly recommend to watch a movie. It is fantastic. My number 2 movie is up there too. Wait, is it? Yeah, there's No Country for Old Men. No Country
That's
for
a good
Old.
movie. That's a great movie.
That movie.
No Country's a great movie.
Oh my God.
Phenomenal movie.
Anton Chigurh is one of the nastiest characters. And I don't mean nasty like wipe a booger on you nasty. I mean, I'm talking about like, if you want to know what it's like looking into the eyes of a psychopath or something, like, it's a different situation going on there. I love movies, so I'm like a huge, I don't watch them nearly as much as I used to, but I'm a big movie guy, and I'm like, I don't just watch it like most people watch it. Like, I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at cinematography. I'm looking at editing. I'm looking at screenplay. I'm looking at the way people deliver lines, all that kind of stuff. And yes, so those 2 movies are fantastic. What is your favorite movie?
My number 1 favorite, it is hard. Like you, I'm a big movie guy. It definitely relates heavily to the industry that I work in. I learned how to do comics from watching movies largely, and animation and stuff. So it's very hard to pick a number 1. But if I had to pick a number 1 out of my favorites, combining, it's a great movie, great script, great acting, and I watch it a lot, it would be Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction is fantastic.
I love Pulp Fiction to death. The more I watch it, the more I like it. There's a lot of movies that are like that I could throw out there, but the number 1 is probably Pulp Fiction, and probably the thing that when I go to create something has a lot of the elements that I like put together.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction is fantastic. Definitely a great movie. I actually, weird thing about Pulp Fiction is I saw Pulp Fiction way late.
Oh yeah,
like I think I saw Pulp Fiction. It had been out like 5-6 years.
Yeah,
like so, and all I knew about it was that everybody said it was really dope, and so that was all. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything else, and I watched it. And I had like no idea what was going on. I didn't know anything about any of that, but I watched it. I was like, yeah, this is pretty dope. It kind of got me into watching everything Tarantino. I'm not as much of a Tarantino fan as I used to be, but
I think Inglourious Bastards is like,
yeah, that's really funny actually.
Love that movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I don't know why the comedic parts stick out more than anything from that movie. Like, there's some lines in Inglourious Bastards that is hilarious.
Yeah,
but I like I said, I'm not a spoiler. I don't even say lines.
Right.
I'm telling you, this is coming from a person who had never seen the Sixth. We'll see. I'm about to give a spoiler.
Right.
Okay. Sixth Sense. If you ain't seen the Sixth Sense, I'm sorry. Okay, but I got to.
Don't spoil it.
I got to tell this story. I got to. Dude, my grandmother. I hadn't seen Sixth Sense, right? So she said, "Have you seen the Sixth?" Okay, let me just say, if you have not seen the Sixth Sense, in the chat, say, "I have not seen the Sixth Sense." If you have not seen the Sixth Sense. Okay, great. My grandmother asked me, had I seen the Sixth Sense? And I'm like, no. And she said, whew, you ain't gonna believe it. All that time, Bruce Willis was dead.
Oh no. Somebody did that to my mother with The Departed too.
I said, thanks, Grandma.
That's terrible.
Appreciate it, Grandma. And I said, Grandma, what? She said, well, what?
You know what? That's the worst thing. People who spoil and act like they don't know what they did. I have a friend who does that. I'm going to call him out. I'm going to call you. He might be watching this show right now. Well, he going to watch the replay. Isaac, you know what you do. You know what you do. I love you, but you know what you do.
You know what you do.
And now the world knows too.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, my grandma was like 78 when she did it, so I give her
She knew.
she she knew.
She knew what she was doing.
Like 78, she knew. She probably know. But I'm like, now she look at me like, what are you talking about? Yeah, but yes. So there we go. All right. So the last question is from, I think this is from Mook Allen. I
What
think
up,
it
Mook?
is. What's
Long
going on?
time supporter.
Yes, yes. He says, if Phoenix gets the #1 pick, should they pass on Zion for Ja Morant? Um, should they or will they? The answer is the question is should they? Um, I think they should. I think that he changes them on the basketball court more than Zion does. I think he is a more natural fit for what they need than Zion is. I think he's even a more natural fit for what the game of basketball is today than what Zion is. I wouldn't say that's the answer for every team, but it just happens to be that Phoenix really, really needs a point guard, right? So because of that, I say that. But this is bigger than just basketball. Zion Williamson is about to be that guy from a commercial and marketing standpoint. And I don't know that any team from a business standpoint can afford not to draft him if they need it.
I'm going to go the other way on that. Even though on any of my teams, I probably prefer to have Ja Morant.
Mm-hmm.
But for Phoenix in particular, I think what they need, I think they have a lot of needs,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and a lot of problems. So both Ja and Zion would be good for them. Ja Morant at this point looks like it's going to take a while for him to become a good defender. So like he's, now part of that is he's young and the responsibility he's had on that team to do so much offensively. But Zion looks like he's going to be an excellent defender from pretty early on.
Mm-hmm.
He projects to be a pretty good rebounder, and he's also looks like he's going to be a great fast break guy.
Oh,
I think,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
with Zion helping DeAndre Ayton and Booker on the perimeter, and the fact that Ayton looks like he's going to grow into a pretty solid shooter, I think it's pretty easy to find a point guard to facilitate that group. And there's a few young point guards who look like they're going to be available, like Alonzo Balls and stuff like that. I think getting an NBA point guard and putting it together with Booker, Zion, and Ayton would be nearly as good as getting Ja Morant and putting him with Booker and Ayton and filling that middle spot with an Ariza or somebody else. And because of the fact that Zion's going to bring so much revenue, in addition to the fact that I think Phoenix is one of the teams he helps on the court the most, I would actually say Phoenix is in a good position to get Zion. I think that would be a good pick for them.
Yeah. And then not to mention the fact that you want the Knicks to have Ja anyway. So
I do want the Knicks to have Ja, but here's the thing with Zion. It's not that I don't want the Knicks to have Zion.
No, yeah,
it's just that Ja looks like a sure thing. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
If Zion turns out to be the best player in the draft, it wouldn't shock me because he's a one of a kind thing. We don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the same time, as Gilbert Arenas said, when you hear the guy is as tall as Russell Westbrook but as fat as Shaq, you're like, wait, what? Like, it's just a unique thing.
Yeah, I think he's taller than Russell Westbrook, but
Gilbert was exaggerating slightly, but he's a lot closer to Russell than he is to Giannis.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think he's going to measure about 6'6.5" in shoes, which 6'7". I think I think out of shoes he's about 6'5", and I think in shoes he's about 6'7". 6'5.5", 6. Just I've gotten really good at estimating what these combine heights are going to be by looking at players. I've been looking at the out of shoes and in shoes measurements. I'm willing to bet 6'5.25" barefoot, 6'7" in shoes. I think that's probably where he'll be. The thing that scares me about Zion is that the moment he's not a freak athlete is the moment he's not special anymore. And that scares me.
Mm-hmm.
It scares me from an injury standpoint. It scares me from a longevity standpoint, whether be it because of injury or just aging. It scares me because at his height, with the style of game that he has to be a freak to be as good as to be good. Because if he's not a freak, he's not great.
The reason I'm not sure about that is because there are undersized forwards in the league who do very well. Like Zion, so for instance, Zion, if he's not as athletic as he is, theoretically, he could still be better than Paul Millsap. Right? Now, Paul Millsap is an unnaturally good rebounder and has become a good shooter. But Zion is an unnaturally good penetrator of the basketball. And it's not just handle. There's also that shiftiness and reaction time.
He has quick twitch athleticism that is insane.
And the decisions that he makes with it. Because there are people who have similar athleticism on the ground, right? Not once he jumps, it's a whole different beast. But even on the ground, Zion does stuff, spin moves. That's why the comparison I was making was like, in a way, he's like a gigantic Dwayne Wade in that.
No, I don't think that's a bad. I don't think that's a bad comparison. Because it's his feet, man. His feet are so good. His feet are so good. Like the areas that he fits into and the moves that he makes in small spaces. I'm convinced that this dude could be an all-world running back and an all-world defensive pass rusher. Like his feet and short burst are so good that but my worry is if something happens and he loses a bit of that. You mentioned Paul Millsap. Well, Paul Millsap didn't become an all-star level player until he could shoot. Now, if Zion gets to the point where he can shoot, then of course that helps him a lot. But then even then, if he's not the athlete that he is now, he's a capable stretch four, essentially, and who's really with a really strong base, who can defend bigger guys in the low post because he's so strong. But he's not that guy on offense, because now at this point, if he loses any athleticism, he's a stretch big, and he's got to improve his jump shot to even be that.
What he really has to improve is his general game. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that are just your game that he has to improve, but he has. I think you can't underestimate what a great kid he seems to be.
Oh yeah, no, I think he seems like a great kid, man.
Yeah, intelligent, well-spoken, media savvy,
and humble,
great attitude, humble, joyful. Like that stuff matters because those guys,
it really matters.
He lifts a locker room. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's that Steph Curry effect to a degree. It's not just the jumper. If Steph's jumper's outstanding, don't get me wrong.
No, it's everything. Steph's a good person to be around, it seems like.
Correct. He's a fountain, not a drain. Right? Yeah. So I give Zion a little bit of more of the benefit of the doubt because he's so young and he's so good at the one thing that he hasn't had to do the other stuff. And he appears to be getting better. He appears to excel in pressure situations. So I want to take the leap with him. And I tend to be very conservative when evaluating talent, but it's a combination of the fact that his instincts are great, his attitude's great, he's eager to learn, and he's a good defender. Dives on loose balls. So because he has that stuff and is a good finisher, I'm looking at the Kenneth Farieds and the Julius Randles and the Paul Millsaps. And the thing is, a lot of those undersized forwards are way worse defenders than Zion. Then you have Draymond, who Draymond has not nearly the offensive talent of Zion. Even though at his peak, Draymond was, a decent shooter, not great, but enough to keep you honest.
Mm-hmm.
Zion looks like he could be at least peak Draymond shooting wise. So if he turns out to be Draymond with an offensive game, but he also sells tickets, great in the full court, that's not a bad deal.
No,
He doesn't
no,
have to
no.
be an
I
MVP.
don't
You know what
think
I'm saying?
I don't think you can go wrong picking him for so many reasons. I mean, who could pick Zion Williamson and get criticized for it?
Right.
Come on. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like what? You know what I'm saying? Like you can't. So that's why I wouldn't expect. I mean, because to be honest with you, you actually are gambling more taking Ja than you would be gambling taking Zion, because everybody considers Zion the sure thing. If Zion is a bust, nobody can criticize you for it.
Right.
Nobody can.
But if you
Nobody.
pass on Zion, then it's like, what
And
are you
it,
doing? And I
yeah,
think the real thing with Ja is even if Ja turns out to be everything he looks like he's going to be, and Ja has elite point guard ceiling, right?
mm-hmm,
He's literally got every offensive tool in the book. Even his shooting, not the greatest, but far from bad,
right.
right? So even if Ja becomes that in his first 2 years, he might have one or two De'Aaron Fox years, right? Like De'Aaron Fox, again, he's in that same group. He could, if he wound up being the best point guard in the league, nobody'd be shocked, right? He
Yeah.
has all the tools: fast jumps, shoots, great passing, all that, right? But his first year, he was trash, total trash. First year, bad young player. Takes time. The problem with Ja taking time is you might wind up losing Devin Booker. That's the issue. With
Mm-hmm.
Zion, I think Zion might be better earlier
He will.
because, you
He
know what I'm
will.
saying? Because that athleticism, especially, he's going to drop 10, 15 pounds of baby fat between now and, training camp. So if Zion comes in super fit, that athleticism with the defense, Phoenix might wind up winning 38, 40 games next year. And you get to keep Devin Booker and then pick up, LaMelo Ball the season after, whatever you wind up doing.
Yeah. Just so you know, Giannis had 45, 12, 6, and 5 tonight.
Woo! MVP. MVP.
That's crazy. So
That's
yeah,
great. That is
that
bananas.
that dude is insane. But all right, guys, that's what we got for you today. Appreciate you guys coming through as usual. Uh, be on the lookout for the next episode, which is going to be on Thursday. And also, if you missed any part of this particular show, it will be cut into some
Yo,
segments and
before we go, real
periodically.
quick,
Yo,
just you brought up Giannis. I just looked at his line: 16 of 21 from the free throw line,
yes,
13 of 22 from the field, 5 blocks.
5 blocks. Yep.
That's if he don't win the MVP, I'm done discussing that award as some accolade. I'm
Yeah.
done. There's already been plenty of controversial MVPs that so and so should not have gotten. You look at the amount Shaq has, the amount Tim Duncan has, and you like some Jason Kidd definitely should have gotten. You're like, wow.
Dwayne
If
Wade.
yeah, if he don't win this MVP playing like this, wire to wire for the best team in the league, both sides of the ball,
I mean, dude, it's the best team in the league. It's the last freaking week of the season. You know what I'm saying? And he's got 45, 12, and 5 blocks
beating a rival.
when he probably should be sitting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it probably should be sitting. I mean, they already do. They already have the conference locked up.
Did Bledsoe get hurt? He only played 3 minutes. What's up with that? He's a +8 in 3 minutes. What happened in that 3 minutes? We gotta look into that.
He had to get hurt. He had to get hurt. I can't imagine he had to get hurt. He played 3 minutes. He had to get hurt. No, he got ejected. Oh, I knew that. He got ejected. He threw the
got
ball.
ejected?
He threw the ball at Joel Embiid.
And they still beat Philly.
Yeah.
And by the way, Chris Middleton was 7 for 18, and Brook Lopez was 4 for 12, and Brown was 5 for 12.
And on the road. This is in Philly.
And Giannis destroyed Philly. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
They get 20 points out of George Hill.
Yeah. Yeah, and
It was
Embiid
a big pickup for them.
Embiid had a triple-double, 34, 13, and 13.
Good for him.
Yeah, wasn't enough.
He's a great player. Honestly, he's a great player.
Dude. Ben Simmons had 6.
That's unacceptable. We broke that on this show.
Yes.
One of the most disappointing players of the season. He has work to do.
Yes. 3 for 5 from the field. He took 5 shots.
Totally unacceptable.
Yeah, and it was a -7. That ain't gonna work out.
No, so, Milwaukee's too efficient for you to have that much of a minus out of somebody getting that many minutes.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work out.
No.
All right, peeps. I appreciate y'all coming through. God bless and peace.